Douluo, leave everything on autopilot and become a god. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226 CATWOMAN and -039 S Soul Ring. The two eagles are Hu Jiu and Hu Mei. This trip was to hunt for Hu Mei's first spirit ring point. Since she was transformed into an animal for the first time, she didn't even know how to fly. If it weren't for the fact that, after transforming into an eagle, flying had become an instinct, maybe Hu Jiu could only turn her into a little snake and grab her and fly. Fortunately, Hu Mei was not timid. Instead, she thought that flying was very interesting and insisted on experiencing it for herself. Fortunately, Sunset Forest was not far from Skydao City, and Hu Jiu and the others flew to the periphery of Sunset Forest in less than an hour after landing. The two cancelled the changes and returned to their original appearance. Hu Mei blushed, and her two cat ears moved happily, very excited. Master, after getting the spirit ring, do I have the ability to attack? Hu Mei was full of hope, her eyes full of desire. Being able to obtain a spirit ring and become a spirit master was something she never dreamed of. Now the dream has become a reality, and she feels like she is dreaming. Of course, as long as you become a soul master and possess soul power, even the food type can become stronger. In fact, Hu Jiu was not sure because Hu Mei's situation was too special. Before obtaining the spirit ring, no one knew the specific situation, so his words were just to comfort the Catwoman. Of course, it's not completely consoling. As he said, as long as you have soul power, even a food type soul master can become stronger. It's a big deal to teach her some self-created soul skills, such as hand knife, spiral pill, etc. Just choose one of them. It is equivalent to one more spirit ring skill point. Speaking of creating his own soul skill, Hu Jiu thought about it and opened the on-hook panel. Looking at the position vacated after the meditation soul skill was advanced, the above is already occupied by another soul skill point. Hui Killing Roar, level 2. The sonic attack shakes the enemy's sea of consciousness, the light is disturbed, the brain bursts, and the body is dead and the soul disappears. There is a reason why he hangs up this spirit ability. He has only recently learned from Daimyo Bei that the two spirit abilities Hui Killing Roar and Nether Soul Repressing Bell are actually matching spirit abilities, one for main attack and one for defense. When the White Tiger Martial Spirit and the Nether Cat uses the Martial Spirit Fusion skill, the two self-created soul skills will be fused into a higher level soul skill, which Daimyo Bei's family calls the White Tiger Soul Suppressing Sound. After hearing the news, Hu Jiu hung up Hui Killing Roar without thinking. He was thinking, after the Nether Soul Ring and Hui Killing Roar were both at full level, would they merge into one soul skill, and then or there are other changes anyway. The only skills that can hang up are Hui Killing Roar and Shockwave, and he originally preferred the first one. The special attacking soul skill of Sonic is actually very powerful, but he has not practiced much, resulting in a low level and little use. After closing the on-hook panel, Hu Jiu focused his attention on the matter in front of him. Hu Mei's first spirit ring was a good choice. Her martial spirit was a cat. It was best to look for a cat-like spirit beast. The life of the spirit ring should be about 400 years old. In fact, with Hu Mei's age, 400 years is not her limit, but considering that her martial spirit has mutated, and it is still a malignant mutation, it is better to be safe. Moreover, he has never been able to absorb spirit rings beyond the limit. Beyond the limit, it sounds awesome, but that's a fool. Only a foolish person like Tang San would do it. Live well, okay. If it weren't for Tang San being the protagonist, the grass on the grave might be 3 feet tall. Turning on the 5 sense enhancement, Hu Jiu easily found the target. It was a raccoon cat, which happened to be 400 years old. Under the leadership of Hu Jiu, he and Hu Mei avoided the other spirit beasts and headed straight for the raccoon cat. This raccoon cat is about half a meter long and looks similar to a domestic cat. It has grey and black hair alternately on its body. At this time, it is lying lazily on the branch and squinting to sleep. Hu Jiu didn't feel pity for it and quietly released his soul power. A teleportation came to the raccoon cat. He raised his knife and dropped it, knocking it unconscious before it recovered. Come on, kill it and you will have a spirit ring. Hu Jiu took out a dagger and handed it to Humir. Humir held the dagger, hesitating for a while, not knowing how to start. The raccoon cat is so cute. Why kill it? Why can't you bear it? Hu Jiu asked. Humir nodded again and again, looking at him pitifully. Whatever you want. This raccoon cat is the most suitable martial spirit for you anyway. The choice is yours. If you want to become a spirit master, kill it. If you want to be a maid for the rest of your life, that's fine. Hu Jiu shrugged, answering nonchalantly. Although Catwoman's appearance is in line with his aesthetics, he really doesn't care much if he cares. After all, feelings also take time to develop. At present, he has not been in contact with Catwoman for a long time. No point. Although Hu Jiu's words were an understatement, in Humir's ears, it turned into a different look. What she thought was that Hu Jiu was giving her an ultimatum. The meaning was very simple. Only by killing the soul beast was she qualified to follow the master. If she didn't kill it, she would be abandoned. Thinking of her experience from childhood to adulthood, Humir bit her lip, put away the pity in her heart, and looked at the raccoon cat that was thrown on the ground with murderer saw. The hand raised the knife and dropped, and a yellow spirit ring appeared on the raccoon cat. Humir's body trembled, but she insisted that she did not take a step back. Looking at this scene, Hu Jiu nodded secretly. This scene did not exceed his expectations. When he bought Catwoman, he knew that she was unwilling to be reduced to a plaything, and the arrangement of not yielding to fate in her eyes was not fake. So, don't cat martial spirits have such hidden attributes? Humir was like this, and so was Zhu's Yuking. Hurry up and absorb the spirit ring. I'll help you watch. Hu Jiu said to Humir, asking her to absorb the spirit ring. Yeah. Humir nodded heavily. For her, the spirit ring floating in the air was the beginning of changing her destiny. In the future, she will never be someone else's plaything again. She will be self-reliant. With Hu Jiu's care, Humir's process of absorbing the spirit ring went smoothly. After an hour, she opened her eyes. Thank you, sir. The first time she opened her eyes, Humir knelt directly in front of Hu Jiu. With deep gratitude in her eyes, it was Hu Jiu who let him escape the fate of becoming a plaything, and also cultivated her to become a soul master. This kind of kindness would not end even in her lifetime. Get up. I don't have so many rules here. Hu Jiu helped her up from the ground and asked curiously, how is it? What is the effect of absorbing the spirit ring, master? After absorbing the spirit ring, my level has increased by 1 level. Now I'm at level 11, and my physical fitness is much stronger. Humir said happily. Well, I know this. Let's talk about the effect of the spirit ability. She didn't need to say about the previous ones. Hu Jiu cared about her spirit ability. Thanks to book friends 201803101148275542. Khan God, rules, old books, and bugs for the rewards. Chapter 227 Target. Soul skill. Keen perception. Improve one's 5 sense ability. Use perception ability to observe opponents and the environment. Can predict the enemy's actions in battle and deal with it calmly. Isn't this my 5 sense enhancement technique? Hu Jiu was surprised. Humir's first spirit ring skill was really, however, this is only the first spirit ring. Of course, the effect is not as good as the 5 sense enhancement technique, and there is no comparison at all. But to Humir, this soul skill was already pretty good. Because of the mutation of the martial spirit, the way the spirit ring manifests on Humir is permanent, which is equivalent to a passive ability, and the keen perception is always turned on. Although the effect was alright, Humir was not very satisfied. After all, she had always fantasized about wanting an attacking spirit ability. This soul skill did not greatly improve her fighting ability. After all, her own strength was there, and no matter how strong her perception was, she would be unable to resist the enemy's strength. It's a very good soul skill. Although it doesn't help you very much for the time being, when your level is high, the effect will be very strong. In this regard, Hu Jiu has experienced it personally. Not to mention the past, even now, the 5 sense enhancement technique has also given him a lot of great help. Whether it is fighting or other, the first time he uses it is the 5 sense enhancement point. However, Hu Mia didn't understand this. She only knew that she had a vicious mutation of her martial soul, and her attack ability was almost inexhaustible. Hey, you kitten, forget it. I'll teach you an attacking soul skill when you go back. Seeing that Hu Mia was still gloomy, Hu Jiu simply released a big move point. Sure enough, as soon as the voice fell, Hu Mia's eyes lit up. Her eyes lit up. Master, what soul skills are you going to teach me? Very powerful spirit ability. Look. Hu Jiu stretched out his palm, and a spiral pill condensed by spirit power appeared in his hand. The spiral pill rapidly grew in size in his hand, and soon its diameter exceeded 1 meter, and the sphere exuded strong fluctuations. Reaching out and pushing, Hu Jiu threw the spiral pill out. Boom. With an explosion, the place where the spiral pill fell was instantly blasted into a super pit with a diameter of 5 meters. The pit was filled with smoke, and the gravel flew. What? It's amazing. Hu Jiu clapped his palms and smiled at the stunned Catwoman. Catwoman came back to her senses and clapped her palms excitedly. Master, what is the name of this soul skill? It's amazing. It's called Spiral Pill. Let's go. The explosion just now may attract soul beasts. We should leave. The two use their soul changing skills again, turning into 2 eagles and flying into the sky. Whoosh. In the sky, an eagle was rejoicing, flying crookedly without saying a word and making a noise. Back in Skydow City, Shrek Academy, everyone was very surprised by Hu Mia's spirit ring skills, especially the keen perception that was permanently improved like passive skills. 9th. Brother, do you think that with our current cultivation progress, is it possible to raise all of them to level 60 or above before the Spirit Master competition? Mahanjan asked in a whimsical way. You're thinking about farting? Hu Jiu gave the answer directly. I won't say it. I'm currently at level 57, and there is still half a year before the Spirit Master competition. It's a trivial matter to be promoted to level 60. Xiao Wu, now 52. Plus there is still the power of immortal grass in the body that has not been digested, and it is still possible to work hard. As for the rest of you, if you can break through level 50, you will burn high incense. If you want to break through level 60, why don't you go back to the house earlier? Sleeping. Maybe there is a possibility of dreaming. Yeah, fatty. What are you holding in your head all day? Level 60. I don't even dare to think about it. Day. Nubei's face was full of contempt. He was already level 49, and he was 1 level away from becoming a level 50 Soul King. Even he didn't have the courage to say such a thing. Hey, I'll just ask. Mahanjan rubbed his head and laughed. Since we've talked about this, let's set a goal. There's still half a year left for the Spirit Master competition. Let's work hard and sprint. When that time comes, we can send someone out to run through the audience. Do you think it's cool? Hu Jiu clapped his hands and stood up. The Soul Master competition is no longer challenging for him. He remembers that, even if the golden generation of the Spirit Hall is the highest, it is not at the Soul King realm. Other than them, it is not difficult at all to defeat the team, so why not increase the difficulty yourself? Hey, this is good. It runs through the audience. I like this. Hu Jiu's suggestion was instantly supported by Xiao Wu, and the other Shrek 9 devils also had their eyes lit up, and their fighting spirit was high. It seems that everyone is very interested. Then I will first set a goal. Before the Spirit Master competition, the spirit power will reach the 70th level. This goal is a bit difficult for Hu Jiu, but he has distraction control, and distraction control can make he cultivates all the time, and there is an on-hook panel, which improves his soul power at all times, plus a series of bonuses such as the field of ice and fire, 10 times the cultivation of ginseng, etc. It is not a problem to increase to 10 levels in half a year. Other people. 9th. Brother, is your standard too high? Oscar said tentatively. With such a high goal, how can we people live? Yeah, Xiao Jiu, do what you can. Tang San hesitated for a while, then persuaded Hu Jiu's goal was so high that he was taken aback. It's just a mere 70th level. Do you think I'm still the same me? You can't do it. It doesn't mean I can't do it either. Why don't you live a little arrogant in life? Why, you may not even have this confidence. None. Hu Jiu raised his brows and mocked arrogantly. Ninth. Brother is right. The Spirit Master competition is not difficult for us at all. If we have to challenge, we must also challenge ourselves. Daimyo Bei's eyes flashed, and a strong fighting intent flashed in his eyes. I will also decide. The goal is to break through the 60th rank before the Spirit Master competition, and fight. Boss. Day is great. I'll take one too. Level 55 in the Spirit Master competition. Tang San gave Daimyo Bei a thumbs up, setting a goal for himself. He is currently at level 45, and within half a year, it shouldn't be a problem to upgrade to level 10. However, it may be necessary to rub Hu Jiu's ice and fire field more. It is necessary to keep up with the cultivation of ginseng. It's up to me. I also have to break through level 70. If it's less than level 70, then I won't participate. Wu reported a huge goal. Only 52 is like breaking through 70 in half a year. I'm afraid it's not a joke. In fact, Hu Jiu did say hello to her early, because there will be a title Douluo in the Spirit Master competition. Hu Jiu dare not let her participate. Of course, she herself does not dare. She is a little rabbit. In the title dangling in front of Douluo was different from courting death. Chapter 228. Wu, you also want to be at level 70? Tang San and the others looked at each other. If Hu Jiu said that it would be a bit possible to reach level 70 in half a year, Wu was only 52. It was impossible. Could it be that she is joking? Yes, it must be joking. It is normal for Wu to say such things. After all, this is also Hu Jiu's goal. Everyone just thought Wu was joking, and continued to set their own goals. Mahangjin, Oscar, Zhu Zuking, Ningrangrong, Meng Yiren, they are all currently 42. To be safe, their goal is to break through the 50 level before the competition, and become the Soul King. Very good. Since you have goals, then let's work hard. Looking at the sky, it was time for dinner, and Hu Jiu ended the topic. Wu. Crooked, aren't you surprised by my goals? Aren't you surprised? Let's go to Wu. Let's eat. Hu Jiu beckoned to her. Wu didn't care about her doubts. She jumped and ran over, walking with Hu Jiu. With a goal, everyone's enthusiasm for cultivation was even higher. Under Hu Jiu's suggestion, Ningrangrang contributed a distraction control cultivation method for Daimyo Bei and others to learn with distraction control. In terms of soul power meditation, you can meditate without interruption 24 hours a day, which is a powerful tool for meditation practice. Of course, Ningrangrang's soul skills were not given in vain. They all paid the price. They didn't say what they paid, and Hu Jiu didn't ask. He only knew that everyone seemed to be quite satisfied. In a blink of an eye, a week passed. Hu Jiu's last 1000-year spirit ability was upgraded for 10,000 years, and the effect of the 4th spirit ring ability was improved. Holy light, as a recovery soul skill, did not change much before and after the upgrade. The only change was the recovery effect. If the previous healing effect was 1, the effect after the upgrade was 10, and the improvement was not too big. The 10,000-year spirit ring all over his body made Hu Jiu swell up. Mr. Lee, I want to learn from you with all my strength. Hu Jiu stood in front of Li Yusong and emphasized the word full strength. Oh, you're only in your 50s. You can't handle my full strength. Li Yusong said lazily, half lying on the chair. Li Yusong did have the confidence to say this. After all, he was a 63 level soul master, a big realm higher than Hu Jiu, and he was still a strong attack type. Although he also knew that Hu Jiu's strength could not be judged by common sense. Hey, if you can take it, you have to try it to find out. Mr. Lee, let's find a place to play. Hu Jiu fought with high spirits. As the #1 monster of Shrek Academy, isn't it normal to fight beyond the ranks? As long as there is no spirit avatar, no matter how strong the spirit master is, he is sure to defeat it. Monsters are so arrogant. Okay, I haven't done it for a long time. I happened to move my hands and feet today. By the way, let's see how strong you are. Li Yusong stood up, but he was thinking in his heart that he would have to work harder later. Just as they walked out of the courtyard with Li Yusong, they happened to meet Zhao Walqi, who was approaching. Haha, you want to fight with Laoli? Well, I'll be the referee for you. Zhao Walqi grinned. When they came to the training ground, they encountered Damu Bei and others along the way. After learning that Hu Jiu was going to challenge Li Yusong, there were more people watching. In the end, even Flender and Liu Erlang were attracted. Boss Fu, do you think Zhao Jiu has a chance to win? Liu Erlang asked curiously. Flender pondered for a while, then shook his head. It's hard to say. Zhao Jiu's strength has always been beyond the norm. I heard that his strength has improved a lot recently, and he will only know if he can win. What? A monster. He seems to have just turned 14 years old. He became the Soul King at this age. I'm afraid there is no such genius even in the Wuhan Palace. Liu Erlang said enviously. I really don't know where Boss Fu found it, monster. Erlang's mother. I'm not bad. I'm also the Soul King. Why don't you praise me? Zhao Wu hugged Liu Erlang's arm and said coquettishly. Yes, my Zhao is also a genius. Liu Erlang rubbed Demo Zhao's head in a funny way. In the training ground, Li Yusong and Hu Jiu stood opposite each other. Go ahead, let me see your strength. As he spoke, Li Yusong suddenly released an incomparably tyrannical aura. A strong red light suddenly released from his body. A long stick with countless fine lines appeared in his right hand, and 6 spirit rings emanated from him. The feet rose, and the dazzling light covered the whole body. Li Yusong's spirit ring is not the best configuration, but it can be said to be the lowest configuration. 6 spirit rings, 1 white, 1 yellow, 3 purple, and 1 black. Not to mention the first white spirit ring. It was 10 years old. Of course, Li Yusong had a good run. The effect of the first spirit ring was very powerful, so powerful that others were envious. His first spirit ring skill is called attack enhancement, which can increase his attack power by 200%. In terms of auxiliary effects, this is simply a magical skill. You must know that even the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda with the strongest support ability, the attack increase displayed at the title Douluo level is actually only a 90% increase in attack power. Although the attack enhancement can only be used by oneself, it has to be said that this is a magical skill. Such a powerful soul skill effect, not to mention others. Even when Hu Jiu knew it for the first time, he was drooling with envy. Unfortunately, except for the first spirit ring, the other spirit rings are a bit stretched. Normally speaking, spirit masters above the 60th rank should have at least 2 10,000-year spirit rings, but he only had 1. In fact, this is the normal state of the Soul Master world. After all, not everyone has the resources to obtain the best configuration of soul rings. It is said that Li Yusong's spirit ring has always been hunted by himself, and no one has helped him. Hey, Hu Jiu talked and smiled, and the aura on his body also increased. 5 spirit rings appeared under his feet. The huge spirit power and tyrannical aura were no worse than Li Yusong. After hiding, the revealed spirit rings are the best spirit ring configurations of 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 1 black. But in fact, the huge spirit power brought to him by 5 10,000-year spirit rings, even Li Yusong couldn't compare. Not to mention that there are still 3 spirit bones in Hu Jiu's body. You must know that the blessing of spirit bones to spirit masters is no joke. If one of the 2 spirit masters of the same level has spirit bones, he must be the victor. Moreover, spirit bones also have the effect of improving physical aptitude, not to mention spirit abilities. Hu Jiu and Li Yusong fought and collided with each other, and they seemed to be evenly matched. But as time passed, Li Yusong gradually fell to the disadvantage. After all, when he was old, how could he compare to a strong guy like Hu Jiu? It is understandable to fall into the downwind. Good boy, it doesn't matter if you don't show some real skills. Li Yusong's expression became serious, and he found that he underestimated Hu Jiu. The first spirit ring skill, the attack is enhanced. The white spirit ring under his feet lit up, and a brilliant light erupted from the red dragon pattern stick in Li Yusong's hand. Chapter 229 Rangrong, what do you want? 5th soul skill, Berserk King Kong is not bad. Dazzling golden light erupted from Hu Jiu's body, and his body began to swell. With the blessing of the violent soul skill, the originally 5-meter high body was forced to rise again, becoming nearly 7 meters high. Nearly 7 meters in shape. From a distance, it looks like a giant. Ha 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 ha. Mr. Lee, I'm going to shoot. After the transformation, Hu Jiu laughed wildly, stepped on his feet, stepped on a huge pothole, and rushed straight towards Lee Yusong. Second soul skill, increased strength. Lee Yusong's expression remained unchanged, and the dragon pattern stick in his hand burst out again, with a scarlet red light, brazenly greeted him. Ha! Hu Jiu shouted loudly, opened his palms, like the Buddha's 5 fingers mountain, and grabbed the dragon pattern stick that was hitting him. Hey, speed increase. Lee Yusong smiled, his waist tightened, and the movements of his hands accelerated in vain, and slammed directly at Hu Jiu's palms that had not been closed. Boom, with a muffled sound. Hu Jiu didn't have time to react, and he didn't even bother to react. Lee Yusong's power would not cause him any harm at all. The right hand found a block, the left hand blew a gust of wind, and the big ear photon instantly fanned out. Lee Yusong took advantage of his strength, and the dragon pattern stick in his hand crossed an arc and a half to meet him again. Lee Yusong studied stick techniques all his life, and the dragon pattern stick was light in his hands. And he was very good at stick techniques. Hu Jiu is not bad either. No matter what technique you use both hands and feet, he just attacks and destroys it with one force. Bang bang bang. The battle heated up at the very beginning. Evenly matched. The 57th level Hu Jiu actually fought with the 63 level Lee Yusong, which blinded a group of people. Ha ha ha. Xiao Jiu. Great job. Come on. Hit me up with old man Lee. Outside the battlefield, Xiao Walqi clenched his fists and kept waving, with a strong pride on his face. This is the disciple he taught. Old Xiao, can you point your face? Did you teach Xiao Jiu? People rely on their own abilities. Even if you can cultivate to the 78th level so quickly, it's up to him. Flender, he sneered bitterly. You fart. Xiao Walqi yelled. Fu Leo Gui, you are jealous. Jealous that Xiao Jiu is my disciple. He who told me to start fast in the first place. Do you see? That is King Kong's indestructible body, my own creation soul skill. You dare to say that he was not taught by me? Cursing and cursing. Xiao Wuji actually laughed out loud. Hey, you are amazing, but your soul skills are carried forward in the hands of others. Are you embarrassed? You don't understand that it's called blue and green. Xiao Walqi was thirsty, happy to himself. What if Hu Jiu's King Kong is more powerful than him? Anyway, this spirit ability was created by him, based on his own martial spirit. The stronger Hu Jiu is, the happier he is. Okay, how old are you? Why are you still like a child? Liu Erlang pursed his lips and smiled, looking at Flender's eyes gradually softening. It is said that strong women are afraid of entanglement, and Liu Erlang is a real example. Ever since he learned about the hidden characteristics of the martial arts fusion skills from Hu Jiu, this old fellow, Flender, shamelessly approached Liu Erlang every day, doing nothing, and pestering her to practice the martial arts fusion skills. The name is to enhance the power of Shrek Academy. Although the excuse was not very good, Liu Erlang did not refuse, but at the beginning, every time he merged with Flender's martial arts, he would think of the master. After all, they made their name by relying on the Trinity martial soul fusion skill. The golden triangle is, of course, 3 people. Of course, it was also fate or luck. Flender and Liu Erlang tried it out alone, and they could really fuse their spirits this time. Flender was very happy. Under his entanglement, Liu Erlang's feelings for the master gradually weakened, but his feelings for Flender by his side gradually became stronger. After all, she had been waiting for the master for 20 years, but the master had avoided her for 20 years. In addition, he had a deep relationship with Flender. Comparing the two, it was natural to see who was better and who was worse. In order to match Flender and Liu Erlang, Hu Jiu also did his best. He specially instructed Tang San and the others to stop talking and go to the master's name. Knowing the emotional entanglement of the golden iron triangle, Tang San can also understand, although he feels sorry for the teacher, but if Flender and Liu Erlang are together, it seems that the best solution is, boom, with a violent explosion. The battle between Hu Jiu and Liu Sang became more intense. Poison escape spiral pill and dragon head shockwave collide with each other. The hand knife competes with the stick shadow in the sky. There is also a long or short, thick or thin Ruai golden hoop stick, a dragon patterned stick, in Liu Sang's hand like gold. Hoops in general play smoothly. Fortunately, Hu Jiu is not a weak person, and when he encounters an attack that cannot be received, he teleports to avoid it. 1 inches stronger and 1 inch shorter, and the dragon stick is not without its shortcomings. At the end, Hu Jiu simply cancelled King Kong's indestructible body, returned to normal size, teleported to Liu Sang's side, and began to fight in close quarters. This time, Liu Sang was embarrassed. In close combat, Hu Jiu had phantom dodging, and the 5 senses were strengthened. The hand knife came out through the body, and the palms, arms, soles, and elbows were all sharp swords, which suppressed Liu Sang from the beginning. Downwind. In the end, it was because he was getting old, and facing the strong Hu Jiu with strange moves, he was defeated by 1 move in the last chess game. Good boy, I really belong to you. Liu Sang didn't take it seriously after losing the test, but instead praised him. Hu Jiu made a Shengguan Hu Ginseng and handed it over and smiled modestly. I just took advantage of the youth. Liu Sang shook his head. If you lose, you lose, and I, Laoli, are not someone who can't afford to lose. Haha, old Li Tao is right. If you lose, you lose. If you beat me one day, I will let you graduate. Hu Jiu walked over and patted Hu Jiu on the shoulder. Okay, I'll work hard and try to graduate as soon as possible. Hu Jiu nodded and replied with a smile. Wow, brother ninth actually beat Teacher Li. That's great. Ning Rangrang's eyes lit up, filled with obsession and admiration. Hu Zuking looked at Hu Jiu, who was standing upright. His cold eyes softened, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Rangrang, what do you want? Suddenly, Xiao Wu's voice sounded beside Ning Rangrang. No, I don't want to do anything. Ning Rangrang shrank her neck. Xiao Wu was a jealous jar. She was always watching. Even if you have some thoughts in your heart, you don't dare to be stubborn with her. Hum. Xiao Wu nodded her head in satisfaction, then saw Hu Zuking beside her, and pouted secretly. Just when he saw Hu Jiu coming here, a happy smile appeared on his face. How could Hu Jiu not know about Xiao Wu's little trick? But it was her own fault, so she could only turn a blind eye. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230, Goodbyes a Crossing. The next morning, Hu Jiu got up on time. Outside the door, Humeya was waiting outside the door with breakfast. Master, I have prepared your favorite egg noodles. Can you taste it? Seeing Hu Jiu, Humeya showed a happy smile on her face. Okay, just put it on the table. I'll take a shower first. Hu Jiu nodded with satisfaction and rewarded her with an evolutionary ginseng. Seeing the evolution of ginseng, Humeya's eyes lit up and the smile on her face became more charming. Because of the vicious mutation of her spirit quality is very poor, and the benefits of evolving Hushin are even greater for her. Since Hu Jiu gave her one, Humeya has fallen in love with this little thing. Every time she eats ginseng, Humeya can notice the subtle changes in herself. The most obvious changes that her feline features are slowly disappearing. Such as the cat tail on the back of the butt and the cat ears on the top of the head. Although it still exists, it has become smaller. In addition to changes on the outside, there are also changes on the inside. She had never been able to feel her own martial spirit before, but after taking a lot of ginseng, through her keen perception ability, she faintly sensed the existence of her own martial spirit. I believe that soon she will be able to get rid of the appearance that makes her a plaything. And all these changes were given by Hu Jiu. In her heart, Hu Jiu was her savior. Without him, there would be nothing like what she is now. In order to repay Hu Jiu, Humea could only serve him well in some aspects of life. If it weren't for Hu Jiu's perseverance, perhaps Humea would have given her life long ago. Yeah. The noodles from Mia are getting better and better, Hu Jiu praised, while eating the fragrant egg noodles. It's good if you like it. Humea laughed happily, after receiving the compliment. Haha. Don't just focus on me for a day, remember to practice hard. In this world, strength is everything. After eating the noodles, Hu Jiu took out a handful of ginseng to cultivate. Of course, it only doubled the speed of cultivation. After breakfast, Hu Jiu went to the classroom as usual. The class is Hu Jiu's favorite part, not for anything else, but for the two people sitting next to him. Xiao Wu is on the left, Kitten is on the right, and he is in the middle. Sniffing the different scents from the left and right. Hu Jiu liked the class more. Xiao Wu has a delicate fragrance, which may be the reason for having eaten acacia heartbroken. Red. There is also a faint floral fragrance, which is fresh and not greasy. Zhu's Yuking was different. She had a delicate fragrance on her body, like the depths of 100 flowers, which was extremely charming. Let's go to the auction house after class. Hu Jiu invited. Today's auction house has a large-scale auction event once a month. Occasionally, spirit bones will appear, and he wants to try his luck. It happened that Tang San gave him a sum of money, which should be enough to buy a spirit bone. Hu Jiu's words attracted the attention of both Xiao Wu and Zhu's Yuking. Okay, I'm going. Xiao Wu would never refuse to join in the fun. Zhu's Yuking also nodded lightly, agreeing. Originally, she thought that she would hurry up to cultivate, but since it was Hu Jiu's invitation, of course she would not refuse. Okay, it's settled then, Hu Jiu thought, as if she hadn't given Xiao Wu and Zhu's Yuking any gifts, and if they found something suitable, she would buy them and give them to them. Today's class is Lukebin, and he is talking about the combat skills of control type soul masters. This is not very useful to Hu Jiu, but it can also expand his horizons and increase his experience. Although he is not from the control department, he will always encounter enemies from the control department in the future, so there is no harm in listening more. So Hu Jiu is still serious in class. Okay, let's go to get out of class. After a class, Lukebin announced the get out of class with a smile. Yeah, play. In an instant, the entire classroom came alive. The Shrek 9 monsters also naturally gathered together. I'm going to take a look at the auction house. You can practice yourselves. Hurry up. Hu Jiu took out a handful of 10 times the cultivation of ginseng, one for each person, and then told them to get out of the way. Don't disturb her dating with beautiful women. Brother Ninth, I want to go to the auction too. How about I accompany you? Ning Rang Grang looked over with a smile. No, don't think about playing. You are the slowest in cultivation, and you are still going to surpass you. Hu Jiu shook his head. 3 women in one show, and one more kitten is fine. After all, she doesn't talk much. Why don't you make a fuss? Shen, if you don't go, you won't go. I don't care. Ning Rang Grang raised his neck, and left as arrogantly as a swan. Xiao Wu, Zuking, let's go. The troublemaker left. Hu Jiu waved to the two of them, and left the others. Damu Bei and the others looked at each other in dismay, and it took a long while to react. Oscar said, don't Xiao Wu and Zuking also practice cultivation? Is the 9th brother treating them differently? Heh, I know Xiao Jiu best, he is such a person. Tang San shook his head helplessly. Then, do you think brother Jiu has opened a small stove for sister Wu and Zuking? Mahanjan pondered, snapped, Day. Mu Bei gave Fatty the back of the head and staggered him. You have to tell me what brother Jiu did. Remember, don't say it again. Hu Jiu treats them well, and there is no need to describe it. Fatty still mumbles when he gets the benefit. I don't have any opinions either. I'll just talk about it. Mahanjan felt aggrieved. He just wanted to make fun of him. Hurry up and cultivate yours. If one day Rang Grang and the others surpass you, you will cry. Damu Bei taught a lesson with a stern face. Don't be so serious, Xiao Jiu isn't so stingy. Of course, if Fatty becomes a woman, maybe your ninth brother can give you more benefits. Tang San said playfully. What, ma? Hang Chen held out his big belly, imagining himself becoming a woman, and shivered instantly. In the auction hall, Hu Jiu, Xiao Wu, and Zhu Zuking were led by the waiters in the black area in the center of the auction hall. He has a purple stored value card in his hand, and of course his treatment has been improved. The location in the black area must have 1 million property to be eligible to enter, and the purple stored value card is 1 million level. This area is closer to the auction table, and there are not many places. There are only 40 or 50 people in a circle. The front row is a red area, which is specially equipped for the rich and powerful, just like the last time I came here. Prince Snow. It is not enough to have money, but also to have a title. The time for Hu Jiu's arrival was just right, and the auction was about to start. I wonder if there will be a spirit bone auction today. Xiao Wu knew Hu Jiu's purpose, so she was looking forward to the appearance of spirit bones. It depends on our luck. Hu Jiu smiled. At this moment, Hu Jiu's gaze towards the auction table was blocked, and when he looked up, a familiar figure appeared in front of his seat. It was Zhu crossing again, with Zhu Beng standing next to him, neither of them wearing masks. Hu Jiu's eyes flickered. There have been too many things recently, and he almost forgot his grievances with them. Chapter 231 LOVER-039 S Stone. Although I never thought of entering the Royal Academy at the beginning, not going and being kicked out are two different things. Hu Jiu couldn't swallow this breath. Little things in their 20s, just wait, I'm going to hit the sap today. Hu Jiu showed a sneer. The teleportation and changes have advanced, and he should act a little more arrogantly. Welcome to today's auction venue. Without further ado, let's start today's first item. This is a soul tool. The supporters were hosting the auction, and Hu Jiu was distracted off the stage, watching the auction items on the stage, to avoid missing things of interest, while listening to the conversation between Zhu Crossing and Zhu Beng in front. I heard that my eldest nephew punished you yesterday. Prince Zhu Crossing leaned back on the seat with his big stomach. Humph. It's just playing with a woman. He actually embarrassed me in public, and asked me to marry her. It's unreasonable. Zhu Beng said with resentment. A little earl's daughter, she is also worthy. It's better to be more restrained. Be careful to let him seize the opportunity. Make a small mistake, but don't make a big mistake. Prince Zhu Crossing reminded. Uncle, I understand. Zhu Crossing nodded. A glint of light flashed in his eyes. He wasn't really stupid. He did these things just to reassure his good eldest brother behind him. Hu Jiu shook his head and sighed to himself. The battle between the royal family is really cruel. However, Qin Rinxu is really amazing. If it weren't for bad luck and encountering Tang San of the Destiny, maybe the Heaven Dao Empire would really be in her hands. Let me think about it. With Qin Rinxu's temperament, if she controls the Heaven Dao Empire, will she control the Spirit Hall in turn? I'm looking forward to it. Thinking of this, Hu Jiu fell into deep thought. Xiao Jiu, what do you think of that bracelet? Isn't it pretty? At this moment, Xiao Wu shook his arm and woke him up. Hu Jiu looked up at the item being auctioned. It was a string of bracelets. The bracelet was quite delicate. The silver white chain showed a brilliance under the light. On the chain was a crescent-like pendant, which was also silver white. Yes, but the material seems to be different. I believe you will like the following auction item. If you see the crescent moon on the bracelet, this is the precious crescent moon stone, also known as a lover's stone. It is said that the lover's stone is a stone blessed by the god of love. With it, the wearer will be happy, and in perfect love. Supporters hold bracelets and display them on the auction table for everyone to watch. The style is pretty good. Let's take a picture. Hu Jiu nodded. This bracelet should be very suitable for Xiao Wu. Yeah. Xiao Wu replied happily. The starting price of this lot is 30,000 gold soul coins. Each time the price increase shall not be less than 1,000 gold soul coins. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a favorite lady, this is a good opportunity to harvest love. With it, I believe you will have a great night. Was it a wonderful night? How wonderful. Hu Jiu looked at Xiao Wu teasingly, so embarrassed that Xiao Wu's head was almost buried on the ground. This person is real. Just sell things well. What are you talking about? Xiao Wu muttered with a blushing face. Hu Jiu snickered, reached out and pressed the auction button. At this time, there are many others who are as interested as Hu Jiu, and they all participated in the bidding. 40,000, 40,000. Is there any more? Oh, 45, 50,000. Is there anything more expensive than this gentleman? 60,000. Zhu Beng's arrogant voice sounded. Hearing the voice of Zhu Beng, the host had a bitter face. With this person participating in the bidding, it seems that a good price cannot be auctioned today. 60,000. Is there anything more expensive? 60,000 once, 60,000 twice. The lover's stone bracelet. You can have love if you have it. The host explained, this time very slowly, obviously delaying time. Oh, it's 61,000. This gentleman bid 61,000. Well, 61,000 once, and 61,000 twice. The host looked at Hu Jiu behind Zhu crossing excitedly. That's right, the one who increased the price was Hu Jiu. Others are afraid of his identity as a prince, but he is not afraid. He is also going to knock people's sap today. What? Are you dare to argue with me? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to get out of the auction today? Zhu Beng rubbed up and stood up, and even Prince Zhu crossing looked back at Hu Jiu. TSK. TSK. The prince is the prince, so majestic. Hu Jiu looked at the host on the stage. Is your auction house owned by this dead prince? He said that he would keep me out of the auction house. I'm so scared. His Royal Highness, the auction house has the rules of the auction house. Please abide by it, and also ask Prince Zhu crossing to take care of his Royal Highness. My family is not happy if you interfere with the auction like this. What news came? And then his attitude changed drastically, and he actually scolded Zhu Beng on the spot. Even Zhu crossing didn't let it go. These two are old fritters. Every time they come to the auction, they don't do anything good, and they don't wear masks. They bid at a low price because of their identities. The key is that many people dare not compete with them. The whole auction house did not welcome them. Haha, since the host has spoken, then we won't take pictures. Zhu crossing stood up, his face a little embarrassed. This is not giving him face. When they left their seats, Zhu crossing and Zhu Beng looked at Hu Jiu with gloomy expressions, as if they wanted to see him clearly through the mask. They can't afford to provoke the auctioneer, so can't they provoke the auctioneer? Huh. Hu Jiu smiled disdainfully and ignored it at all. Anyway, it has been decided to sap. Let them be arrogant for a while. It's not bad to fight Zhu Beng, but no, a lot of bidders are afraid of getting into trouble, so they don't compete with him for bracelets. In the end, the stone bracelet of love was photographed by him at the price of 61,000. The next auction item is of the same style as the stone of love, but it is a pair of anklets. The auction also starts at 30,000 gold soul coins, and the price increase cannot be less than 1,000 gold soul coins each time. The host started the auction again, but this time it was not a bunch of bracelets, but a pair of anklets. Hey, it's really good luck. Hu Jiu hurriedly participated in the auction. He felt that this pair of anklets and kittens were very suitable, and just now, when he was bidding for Xiao Wu, Zhu King's eyes showed envy in his eyes. He saw it. Although it was an anklet, it couldn't compare to a bracelet, but because it was a pair, the auction became fierce. In the end, Hu Jiu had to spend a lot of money to get it, which cost a full 80,000 yuan. The next auction was mediocre. There was nothing he could see, let alone soul bones, not even bone hairs. After the auction, the three received the bracelets and anklets they had taken. After handing the bracelet to Xiao Wu, Hu Jiu handed the anklet to Zhu King, who was stunned. Zhu King, this is for you, whether you like it or not. As soon as Hu Jiu finished speaking, Xiao Wu happily opened the bracelet for a moment, and then, as if nothing had happened, she happily pulled out the bracelet and gestured. How could she not know about the trivial matter between Xiao Jiu and Zhu King? But she just didn't want to get into it. As long as Xiao Jiu loves her forever, she can endure one more Zhu King. Chapter 232. Little Wildcat. Hu Jiu gave her the stone anklet of love, which Zhu King never thought of point, and it was given in front of Xiao Wu, which was really daring point. However, I have to say that this move moved her very much. She had never thought that Hu Jiu would give her something, but it turned out to be so. Suddenly, she felt at a loss after all. Hu Jiu is Xiao Wu's lover. She gave her the stone anklet of love in front of Xiao Wu. Does this mean she doesn't want to live anymore? If you want to send it, you should send it quietly at night, when no one is there. This person is really point. Zhu King almost stomped his feet. Zhu King, you can accept Xiao Jiu's gift for you. Be polite to him. Anyway, he has money. At this time, Xiao Wu's voice came. Very big sister. Oh, no, it should be the temperament of a big woman, but the smile was facing Zhu King. As for the back, Hu Jiu was given a few vicious glances. Hey, that's right, you are my junior sister. It's normal for senior brothers to give gifts to junior sisters. Hu Jiu explained uncomfortably point at this time. He also realized that he should not have given it to Zhu King so early. Although the result was the same, at least it was not as embarrassing as it is now. Thank you ninth brother. Zhu King was embarrassed about the gift, and a strange thought arose in his heart. Not only did she know Hu Jiu's attitude towards her, but the rest of Shrek probably knew it too, but no one had pointed it out. As for why this happened, she wasn't an idiot. How could she not know? At this moment, she made a big decision in her heart. Hey, put it on me and see. Xiao Wu, and yours too. Hu Jiu looked at Xiao Wu and Zhu King expectantly. He felt that this gift was very suitable for Xiao Wu's King. Xiao Wu raised her smooth arm, with a silver white bracelet on her arm, which was even more cute against the white and tender arm. How about it? It's pretty. Xiao Wu showed off. Well, it's beautiful. Hu Jiu nodded honestly. The money was indeed well spent, and the bracelet was made for Xiao Wu. Wearing it on her hand made Xiao Wu feel more jelly. Zhu King, put it on quickly, and let me see. Without Hu Jiu's urging, Xiao Wu had already said his words beforehand. Hu Jiu. He was speechless. Zhu King glanced shyly at Hu Jiu, slowly opened the box in his hand, and took out the anklet that was similar to the bracelet. Hu Jiu's eyes naturally fell on Zhu King's legs. Compared with Xiao Wu's legs, although they were not as slender as hers, they were exceptionally well proportioned. Those well proportioned legs showed a pure white luster. Body, charming and moving. Even the beautiful lotus feet are silently enchanting, as if sending out a tempting invitation. Garlum. Hu Jiu swallowed his saliva in disappointment. Suddenly, a burst of pain hit her waist. She turned her head, and saw that Xiao Wu was gnashing her teeth. I don't wear it anymore. Zhu King was panicked by the sight of Hu Jiu, and hurriedly threw the anklet into the box, hugged it in his arms and hurriedly ran away. Xiao Wu, I didn't do anything. Hu Jiu defended to Xiao Wu. HMPH, I'll take care of you when I go back. Xiao Wu snorted coldly and turned her head away with her neck raised. At night, in the middle of the night, a dark figure came outside Hu Jiu's dormitory, fiddled with the door for a while, and the door was pushed open. Under the moonlight outside the door, the figure of this body was reflected. The figure came straight to Hu Jiu's bed, gritted his teeth, and rushed straight up. Woo. Hu Jiu woke up instantly and began to struggle. But he found that he seemed to be sick, and he had no strength at all, and he couldn't break free. Zhu King, don't be like this. Hu Jiu quietly refused. Don't talk. Zhu King acted wildly, like a wildcat, domineeringly blocked Hu Jiu's next words. This night is doomed to sleepless. A perfect peace is done. Unfortunately, all these movements were covered by Hu Jiu's huge soul power, and no sound was revealed. The next day, Zhu King came out of his room normally. Hu Jiu also came out of his room, as if nothing had happened. But only he himself knew that he was not clean anymore, and he was actually eaten and wiped clean by the cat. No, I can't admit defeat. I still have a trick. I must make a comeback today. Hu Jiu frowned, very unconvinced. That night, Hu Jiu appeared in the cat's room. The next day Zhu King fell ill. It was said that he had a cold. In the next few days, Hu Jiu finally remembered something that he almost forgot. He promised to hit the avalanche sap, but he forgot again. Now that I remembered it, of course I won't let it go this time. It's not difficult to know the rules of Zhu Beng's activities. It's similar to them. They have classes in the morning and practice in the afternoon. It is said that they practice by themselves, but in fact there is no class for people like Avalanche. It's just playing. After thinking about it, Hu Jiu felt that it was not fun to play a sap alone. Such a fun thing must be shared with others, so he summoned the other Shrek 9 devils and asked them if they would go, but Hu Jiu felt that this might be a vain question. The same is true. As soon as they heard that they were going to knock a sap, and this person was the avalanche that they hated, everyone was gearing up for it, and even the least belligerent ZHU King showed interest. Okay, since that's the case, let's go. Hu Jiu waved, and a group of 10 people set off on the spot. The reason why there were 10 people was because there was one more Tilan. This kid is also a master who is unwilling to be lonely. He heard that he was going to beat people, and he immediately followed him. Except for Shandao City, Hu Jiu gave each of them a piece of changed ginseng to make them change their appearance so as not to be recognized. After the others changed their appearances, Hu Jiu also began to change, but he did not become a human, but an eagle about 1 meter high. After all, an eagle can fly, so it is easy. Zhao Jiu, you're too cunning. If you don't do it, I'll turn into an animal too. Zhao would quit in an instant and reached out to him to ask for another ginseng. It's time to transform into an animal. Why don't we know when it happened? Tang San's eyes flashed a gleam, curious about Hu Jiu's transforming spirit ability. Hey, you didn't ask me. Seeing everyone's eager eyes, Hu Jiu just took out some modified ginseng and let them try it out for themselves. So this group of people instantly turned into all kinds of animals: white tigers, bald eagles, flamingos, snakes, rabbits, wildcats, gorillas and more. Let's go. Hu Jiu screamed and flew to the Royal Academy first. Others also used their own means to set off. Chapter 233 Ambush. Zhu Beng was a little confused. He was actually ambushed by a group of beasts. This group of beasts is a mess, including tigers, eagles, gorillas, kittens, and even little rabbits. What? Grudges and grudges? What the hell did I do? Why even animals beat me up in ambush? Zhu Beng shook his head, thinking that he should have been drunk and awake last night. Otherwise how could such a ridiculous thing happen? Who am I and where am I? Zhu Beng was in a state of confusion. Wow. With an eagle chirping, an eagle instantly launched an attack signal. Its pitch black wings fluttered instantly, and its sharp eagle claws attacked the still dazed avalanche. The prince is attacked. Protect his royal highness. Whoosh. Whoosh. One after another dark figures hidden in the dark appeared in front of Zhu Beng, protecting him in the middle. These people are the secret guards to keep Avalanche safe. In any case, Zhu Beng was also the 4th prince of the Heaven Dao Empire, so how could there be no dark guards? But the strength of these guards is not very strong. The leader is only about 50, and the others are weaker, only about 40. Hu Jiu's eagle's claws remained unchanged, and he still grabbed Zhu Beng. He was now the one who made the sneak attack, and all the secret guards added up to only 5 people, but on their side, there were 10. Except for the weakest Taelong. Anyone else who pulls out anyone is stronger than the Dark Guard. Ding. The leading Dark Guard drew out his big sword and martial spirit, and faced Hu Jiu's eagle claws. But how could his strength be compared to Hu Jiu's? He was knocked out in just one face-to-face. He only felt the moment when the big sword stabbed the eagle claws against each other. A huge force came, and his body flew out involuntarily. Roar. Ow. Jeep. At this time, the others from Shrek also started to attack, and even the white swan that changed from Ning Rang Grang flapped its wings to join in the fun. All of a sudden, all kinds of animals roared in a mess, with fierce clashing sounds and banging sounds. The 5 secret guards were overwhelmed before they could resist, and they were passively beaten. As for Zhu Beng, he was being played by a little white rabbit, using the way a rabbit kicks an eagle. Ow. Avalanche screamed in pain. Bang. Bang bang bang. Under Hu Jiu's greeting, the dark guards were knocked out, leaving only Zhu Beng. Hey, amid the cunning laughter of various animals. Zubeng's head tilted, and he fainted very simply. Point after confirming that Zubeng was really dizzy, Hu Jiu lifted his transformation and said, I haven't exerted my strength yet. The other people also released their transformations at this time, and the feeling of beating a sap might be very exciting, and all of them were flushed and excited. Next is the harvest time. Fatty, strip him away from me, and take away all the valuables. Hu Jiu said, don't worry, brother Jiu, I won't leave him any underwear. Mahanjan patted his chest and assured point after speaking, rubbing his hands. He started to search his body, making a strange hee while whizzing. His eyes were so hot that Damubei couldn't even see it. Point not to mention Zio Wu, Zhu Zuking, Ning Rang Grang and the others. As early as when Mahanjan started to act, they consciously turned their backs and didn't want to get their eyes dirty. Cut, it's actually a little loach. It's boring. Fatty said with disgust. Don't you think it's a loach hole? Damubei scolded angrily. Okay, it's almost done. You done really don't even leave him a panty. Yo, I didn't expect Fatty to have such a hobby. Oscar joked. Fart. I don't want to keep it for him, and I don't want it. Mahanjan retorted with a dark face. Looking at everyone's distrust for lies, he immediately took away the valuables and burned other useless clothes by him. Okay, it's time to go. Someone is coming soon. Hu Jiu greeted them to leave. Point the retreat was very quick, and a group of people turned into geese and flew into the sky, leaving only a few fainted dark guards and an avalanche with a bruised nose and a swollen face. This is what I found on Zubeng. This guy's really poor. He only has necklaces, and his whole body is cleaner than his face. Back at Shrek, Mahanjan took out his trophies. That's because you don't know the goods. This is a storage type soul tool, and all the good things are in it. Hu Jiu glanced at Fatty with disgust. Soul tool? Fatty was stunned for a moment, then overjoyed. So, are we making a lot of money? Of course, open it up and see. There's something good inside. Tang San, who had always been steady, couldn't wait to see the soul tool. Wait. Hu Jiu hurriedly interrupted Fatty's movements. Seeing everyone's doubtful lies, Hu Jiu helplessly spread his hands and explained to the girls, this guy's not a good thing at first glance. Maybe the soul tool, is there anything strange in it? You guys, are you sure you want to see it? Bah. You guys are not good things either. Ning Rang Grang spat, and the other girls blushed. No way. Tang San was stunned, unable to believe it. Little San, there's nothing wrong. The royal people are not as beautiful as you think. If you don't believe me, you can see for yourself first, and don't take out the contents. Having said this, Damubei now has the right to speak, because he is also not a good person. As a prince, he has a better understanding of the strange phenomenon of the royal family. Let's see. Tang San really didn't quite believe it. He stepped forward to take the necklace. His mental power was submerged in it, and he sensed it carefully. But in an instant, Tang San's expression turned weird. If you look closely, you can still find those faintly red ears. Yo. It turns out that Zio-san is also shy. It's incredible. It's incredible. Hu Jiu laughed mercilessly. This guy, who actually doesn't believe his words, has learned a lot now, but it's also possible that this guy is just interested in those things, so he pretends not to believe it. This sly guy. I didn't see anything. Tang San flatly denied. Hey, look at the appearance of the third brother. There are a lot of good things in it. Let me see it. The fat man snatched the necklace from Tang San's hand with a cheap smile. He couldn't wait to find out what new things were in it. I want to gain knowledge. Okay, don't do these useless things, fat man. Quickly take out the useful things and keep the rest for yourself and enjoy it slowly. It's weird that you can find a wife because of your motherfucker's wretchedness. Hu Jiu scolded angrily. Here, Meng still looked away unnaturally. She just didn't look down on Fatty. Avalanche was still quite rich, and everyone looked at the pile of things on the table. Their eyes lit up. There are a lot of gold soul coins alone, as well as anonymous black cards and purple cards. Of course, there are also registered ones, but everyone dare not use them. There are also swords, various accessories, etc., which are of great value. Divided The spoils. Under Hu Jiu's leadership, everything was divided up. Chapter 234 DMUBAIN-039's breakthrough. Later, after investigation, not counting the value of the accessories and soul tools on Zhu Beng's body, there were 5 million gold soul coins alone, and they made a lot of money from this harvest point after the division. Hu Jiu got 2 million gold soul coins. No other jewelry and soul tools. He needs money. The more the better, and only with money can he buy spirit bones, and he also checked the purple stored value card that Tang San gave him, which contained 5 million gold soul coins. Adding up, he already had more than 7 million gold soul coins in his hand, and it was more than enough to buy a soul bone point. However, spirit bones were something that could be encountered, and not sought after. Although the auction house in Heavendale City was already the largest, there were still very few opportunities to auction spirit bones. Time went by. Hu Jiu didn't wait for the spirit bones to appear in the auction, but waited for the 5 sense enhancement technique to advance point perception. The ability of 6 senses is greatly improved. The 6th sense can perceive any movement within 10 miles, and it can be imaged in the mind, as long as you concentrate within 500 meters. In addition to this, there is a magical premonition ability, just like the premonition, that the autumn wind has not moved. As long as there is danger or someone is calculating him, he will give birth to induction in advance, and escape the danger in advance. Point. The premonition ability can predict the enemy's attack before the enemy makes a shot. He knows what means others will use to deal with him. With the premonition ability, no character can take the lead in front of him. Since then, 4 full level skills have been promoted. The soul power meditation method was promoted to meditation. Soul power control is promoted to control. The 5 sense enhancement technique is promoted to perception. Helix pill was promoted to poison escape spiral pill. Currently, in the on hook panel, there is only 1 full level soul skill left, the shattered cloak hammer. The next step is to tackle the chaos cloak hammer. Hu Jiu thought to himself when he looked at the data on the on hook panel. In fact, the chaos cloak hammer has already reached its full level, but because of the long charging time in the early stage, Hu Jiu didn't have many opportunities to use it, so he was considered to be in a semi-abandoned state. But since there are no soul skills that need to be promoted now, Hu Jiu, who has a little obsessive compulsive disorder, is going to pick it up and wait for the promotion to see the effect. After all, the promotion of soul skills has his subjective reference, and the effect is always biased in the direction he expects in the vacated hang-up slot. Hu Jiu put the last soul skill, Shockwave, on it. Since then, he has no soul skill that needs to be hung up. On the panel, the soul skills that are hanging up are level 10 shattered cloak hammer, level 9 hidden weapon technique, level 9 King Kong indestructible, level 9 phantom dodge, level 7 distraction control, level 6 leather soul requiring bell, level 6 hand knife, level 2 white tiger sound killing roar, level 2 shockwave. In addition to this, there is a head spirit bone that also occupies an on-camera position. Next, in addition to being promoted to full level soul skills, he also needs to find new soul skills, so as to avoid the situation where there are no soul skills hanging up when the hang-up slot is vacated. Half a month later, a surprising news came that Daemubei's rank exceeded 50. And he only needed to hunt for a spirit ring, and he would be the 3rd spirit king in the team. Brother Jiu, I think. After breaking through the level, Daemubei was the first to find Hu Jiu. Don't we have so many soul saints in our academy? Why are you looking for me? Hu Jiu was reluctant to go out. Since the first blood, he has tasted the taste, especially Zhu King's stalwart mind. When driving the car, the big white rabbit hops like a bungee jumping. Every time it makes Hu Jiu faint, his eyes are all shaking. If it weren't for his technical skills, the car would be scrapped. The taste of food. Don't want to leave. 9th. Brother, you're not being authentic. Those of us who don't know your perception ability, without you, I'm afraid it will take a lot of time to find a suitable soul beast. Poor brother, I still want to break through to the 60th level Soul Emperor as soon as possible. Daemubei licked his face and said flatteringly, but you also know how important I am. If I leave the academy, what will happen to the others? They are also a critical period for improving their strength. Hu Jiu said slowly, haha, this is easy to handle, otherwise all of our Shrek staff will go out for an outing this time. Seeing that Hu Jiu didn't directly refuse, Damubei saw hope. He rolled his eyes and thought of a suitable option. Method point battle in the wild. Have a hand-to-hand fight with big cats in the wild point in an instant. This idea popped into Hu Jiu's mind. It seems very exciting. Hu Jiu's heart suddenly became hot. Although he really wanted to agree, but he was reluctant just now. It's not good to agree directly. Don't he want to lose face? So Hu Jiu pretended to hesitate for a while, before nodding reluctantly for a long time, and then said to him, then you can talk to the others first, as long as you talk to them, I don't care. It doesn't matter to the others, as long as the big cat is called up. Okay. As long as you agree. Damubei regained his self-confidence instantly. As long as he persuades Hu Jiu, the others will be fine. After all, he is also the boss of Day, right? Except for Hu Jiu, he is still a bit authoritative in the team. Seeing Damubei leaving happily, Hu Jiu also became happy. He was looking forward to helping Damubei hunt for spirit rings this time. Hey, if only Xiao Wu reached level 70 earlier. Hu Jiu said a little greedily. Xiao Wu had said that she had to wait for her strength to reach level 70 and become a human. Otherwise she would suffer greatly. Hu Jiu didn't quite know how Damubei persuaded the others. He only knew that the next day, Damubei had told him that the others had already been dealt with by him, and everyone was willing to participate in this soul hunting operation. Just when Damubei went to report to Flender and applied for the boss to help him hunt for spirit rings, a minor accident occurred. Flender said that, since all the Shrek 9 devils were dispatched, the old men like them would not join in the fun. And just took this opportunity to give them a test and let them get their own spirit rings. Can they do it? Liu Erlang asked suspiciously after Damubei opened his mouth in despair. Don't underestimate these little guys. Especially Xiao Jiu. As long as he is around, it is not difficult to hunt a 10,000-year spirit ring. Don't forget, he can use spirit fusion skills with Xiao Wu. In addition to it can also fuse with Zhu King Martial Spirit. And I also noticed that this little guy is hiding a lot of trump cards. If he really fights, maybe my old guy will fall into his hands. Flender said confidently. Although Hu Jiu hid it well, he had felt the power that could threaten him in Hu Jiu. If it wasn't for his strong perception ability, he might have been deceived. So powerful? Liu Erlang opened his mouth in surprise and couldn't believe it. Only strong, not weak. Flender looked prepared. Haha, since that's the case, then I'm going to try this little guy's strength. I have to show his true skills. Liu Erlang slapped the table and stood up, ready to force Hu Jiu's full strength out. She really didn't believe it. She was a soul saint, and she couldn't deal with his sulking. Chapter 235 Fighting Two Dragons. In other words, your spirit ring can only be made by yourself, right? Hu Jiu knocked on the table and pondered. No, it should be our Shrek team. Damubei was dressed in formal clothes, but in front of Hu Jiu he made a pleasing appearance. Where is there a little bit of usual arrogance? Ninth brother, 10,000 years soul. Beasts are equivalent to human level 60 soul emperors, and soul beasts are naturally stronger than humans. So this time my brother can only rely on you. Don't worry, with me here, the spirit ring is just a small problem. Don't worry about it. Hu Jiu smiled lightly. His strength is not comparable to that of a normal soul emperor. Even if he is a soul saint, he can compete face to face. It happens that you can change the soul skill to advance, and you can change the animal. If you want to change the powerful soul beast, you need to have a detailed understanding of it. Otherwise, just by imagination, you can only change the appearance of the soul beast, but not the soul. The inner strength of the beast. The stronger the soul beast, the harder it is to change. Taking the Titan giant ape and the Azure bull python as examples, although Hu Jiu had a lot of contact with them, it was impossible to change their strength. As a result, no matter how much Hu Jiu knew about spirit beasts and how similar the changes were, his strength after the change would not exceed his level. That is to say, even if he changed into a 100,000-year spirit beast, his level would be the same as his level. The same, only 58 point converting it. The 58th level is similar to the soul beast of 8 or 9,000 years. Secondly, the deeper the understanding of soul beasts, the stronger the spirit beasts transformed into, and even after mastering them, it is possible to transform them into the same strength as spirit beasts in more than half a month. Not only did Daemube break through the level, but Hu Jiu also improved by one level, from the 57th level to the 58th level point. In addition, the levels of the other Shrek 9 monsters have also increased. Xiao Wu, Tang San, Mahangjin, Oscar, Ningrangrong, and Meng Yan'an have all increased by one level point, and the big cat that stole Fishy even won a staged victory. On the day he won Hu Jiu, his strength instantly broke through to level 44, and he was upgraded by 2 levels at once. I remembered that Ningrangrang and the others were envious at that time. Even though everyone was of the same level, Zhu Zukin came up later and surpassed them all at once, which was very unreasonable point. But they don't know how powerful Hu Jiu's huge essence that has been preserved for more than 10 years, and with Wuhan Hu participating in it, the effect is stronger than the genius treasure point. So later, in the face of the visible benefits, even Zhu Zukin couldn't hold back. He was allowed to do whatever he wanted by Hu Jiu every day. He experienced Hu Jiu's various tricks, and the theoretical knowledge learned by Hu Jiu in his previous life was fully verified. The taste of food, Hu Jiu, come out, while Hu Jiu and Daemube were discussing the travel time. Liu Erlang's unique Lali voice sounded outside the door. Teacher, Erlang. Daemube was stunned for a moment, then asked with a look in his eyes, when did brother Jiu provoke her? After getting along for such a long time, they had already seen Liu Erlang, a Tyrannosaur-like character, who looked very beautiful, had a good figure, and had a lolly-like voice, which sounded soft and waxy. But when they were after being cleaned up, whenever I heard this sound, my body trembled involuntarily. Hu Jiu was also stunned. He and Liu Erlang didn't have much interaction. After all, after spending a lot of time in the eyes of ice and fire, he really didn't have much contact with her. Moreover, at the same time as Liu Erlang's voice came, he also sensed a dangerous aura point to suffer. Boom. But it was too late. Before Hu Jiu could escape, the door of the dormitory was violently kicked open. Liu Erlang, with delicate features and picturesque features, appeared at the door. Haha, Mr. Erlang, you broke this door. It has nothing to do with me. Hu Jiu smiled flatteringly, looking at Liu Erlang's murderous eyes. Boss, Fu said you have a unique trick. Come out and let's make a gesture. But Liu Erlang ignored Hu Jiu's nonsense and went straight in, explaining his intention. Hu Jiu's eyes snapped. Oh, you idiot. It's useless for me to match the two of you. Is this how you repay me? Letting him fight Liu Erlang, a violent woman, was almost insane. Hu Jiu shook his head again and again, and made 3 no's. No, I don't. I'm just a food type soul master, and I don't have the ability to attack. Don't force me to do it here. If any damage is caused, it will be counted on your head. Liu Erlang made a vicious expression, but his voice was soft and waxy, with a strong sense of disobedience. Hu Jiu unnaturally tugged at his pants. This voice, this figure, can the old ghost be able to stand it? 9th. Brother, go quickly, or you will have no place to live today. Daemube pushed Hu Jiu anxiously, not in a hurry. He was afraid of being implicated. Teacher Erlang, I'll just show you a trick, okay? Hu Jiu grimaced, not wanting to fight. This person is Xiao Wu's godmother, and she's also from Flender. She's the boss of her generation. If she fights with her, if she moves a little bit, it will be a torment. Hu Jiu felt that, since he was plotted against the big cat, he had a feeling that he couldn't control himself, as if his nature was released. When he saw a beautiful girl, he wanted to. Don't talk nonsense. Don't worry, I will restrain myself, and won't embarrass you. Liu Erlang patted Hu Jiu's shoulder with satisfaction. Humph, fall into my hands, and see if I don't squeeze all your means out. Hu Jiu followed behind Liu Erlang with a bitter face, but Liu Erlang was wearing a pair of leggings today. When walking, He constantly highlighted the curves of his hips, which was full of charm. This also led to Hu Jiu pulling his pants unnaturally. Behind the two of them, Bei followed sneakily. Hu Jiu fought against Liu Erlang. There weren't many opportunities for such a good show. The key is that he is also curious about how strong Hu Jiu is in the training ground. Liu Erlang and Hu Jiu were 5 meters away from each other, standing opposite each other. "Come on. Let me see your strength," Liu Erlang said with a smile in his eyes. "If that's the case, then I'm welcome." Hu Jiu is really welcome. First of all, he activated King Kong's body, and at the same time, his spirit ability Rage was activated. His body swelled up, and he stood upright in the training ground like a little giant. This is not over yet. Since Liu Erlang wants to know his ultimate move, he naturally has to satisfy him, and 8 spider spears emerge from behind him one by one, like a 1,000-handed guanyin, carrying him behind Hu Jiu. However, he was carrying 8 spider spears, and Guanyin was carrying his hands, external, spirit bones. Liu Erlang looked at the 8 spider spears behind Hu Jiu in surprise. So, is this his trick? It was indeed a trick, teacher. Erlang, be careful. Hu Jiu jumped out in an instant, distracted by 7 users. The 8 spider lances behind him were like 100 flowers, and attacked Liu Erlang's body in no particular order, and Hu Jiu himself was not far behind. The hill-like fist slammed into the past without pity. Interesting. Liu Erlang shook his neck. His body trembled instantly. The fire dragon spirit possessed, and the heat wave came, and in the flames, Liu Erlang had completed his transformation. Chapter 236. The moment Liu Erlang completed the possession of his martial soul, a flame suddenly burst out from his body, a heat wave that was soaring into the sky, much stronger than Mahanjan. Her martial soul was mutated from the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex. Although it is not a benign mutation, it is not malignant either. After the mutation, the martial spirit is a fire dragon, and its quality is comparable to that of the blue lightning overlord dragon. Dense dragon scales cover her body, like a female general in battle armor, with a heroic spirit. His hands turned into dragon claws, and the cold light flickered, accompanied by flames. Liu Erlang, who possessed his martial spirit, seemed to be the goddess of flames. Drink, with a light drink. Liu Erlang's dragon claws were only attached to a mass of flames, and he was not afraid of Hu Jiu's hill-like fist, but he regretted it. Boom. With a loud bang, the two of them each took a few steps back. In terms of strength, Hu Jiu, who had been blessed by various states, could only be evenly matched with her. As for the 8 spider lances behind Hu Jiu, Liu Erlang raised a shield at the moment when the two of them were banging, and received the attack intact. Haha, it really happened twice. Come again. Liu Erlang raised his eyebrows. She felt that she was a dignified soul sage, but she was no match for a little sulking in terms of strength. She lost face, which made her very angry. Wow. Teacher Erlang is angry. 9th brother, take care of yourself. In a corner of the training ground, Bei hunched over, secretly watching the competition between the two. It is good seeing Liu Erlang's aggressive appearance. Hu Jiu also became angry. Lao Tzu said that he didn't want to fight with you. If you still had to fight, I'll let you taste the real skill today. Roar. Hu Jiu opened his mouth wide, and the tiger roared, and an invisible sound wave formed an invisible beam of light, blasting straight towards Liu Erlang. Beihuan killing roar. Although his level was relatively low, at this time he was in the state of transforming into a little giant, with a height of 7 meters, and the violent roar shocked Shrek Academy. This voice directly startled all Shrek students. The faces of the Shrek 9 monsters changed even more, and they rushed in the direction of the voice. They heard the owner of the voice, and it was Hu Jiu's voice. Come on, brother 9 is fighting. Let's go and help. Zhu King was even more anxious than Xiao Wu at this moment, and instantly possessed his martial spirit. His body turned into a phantom, and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. The others were stunned for a moment, and they used their means to quickly run towards the training ground. Sister Erlang 2, how did you make the battle so big? In the office, Flender stood up helplessly with a teacup in his hand and followed along to join in the fun point at the same time. Zhao Waoqi's figure also appeared, but he sensed the breath of Hu Jiu and Liu Erlong. His expression did not panic at all, and he walked steadily. Hu Jiu, who was in the training ground, didn't care how many people were disturbed. After Bei Huaiyan roared, he stomped his feet, and an invisible wave spread to the ground, breaking through at Liu Erlong's feet instantly. This is a shockwave point in his right hand. A green spiral pill was grabbed by him. His left hand turned into a phantom, and a small ray of light shot at Liu Erlong. If you were careful, you could still see the shape of the ray of light. It was a small knife with a handle only an inch long. The 6th level soul skill hand knife, combined with the hidden weapon technique, traced a mysterious trajectory and shot from all angles this time. Hu Jiu was able to use all his methods under the control of distracted control soul skills. Even though he used a lot of soul skills, he didn't feel chaotic at all. Instead, the various soul skills tended to cooperate with each other. That's the power of distraction control. It is good. Faced with numerous attack methods, Liu Erlong shouted, the 3rd soul skill, Fire Dragon flying to the sky, forcefully taking Hu Jiu's sonic attack. He shook his head, ignoring the vibrations on the ground. Liu Erlong bowed slightly, put his hands on his waist, and used a turtle-style kick-em gesture to strike a fire dragon that was bigger than her body. The bursting flames blew up invisible airwaves, and Hu Jiu was among them. With his physical fitness, before the fire dragon got close, he actually felt an overwhelming heat wave. The hand poisoning escape spiral pill throughout, facing the dragon's head. Boom. A huge explosion sounded, and the entire training ground shook. Hu Jiu's poisonous escape spiral pill and fire dragon collided, but they didn't lower each other. His spiral pill was smashed by the fire dragon, but Liu Erlong's fire dragon was not without damage, and the dragon's force it was also blown up. Opposite, Liu Erlong maintained the gesture of launching the turtle skull kicking, and the flames continued to extend between his hands, replenishing the fire dragon's soul power field of ice and fire. Since the spiral pills were not enough, Hu Jiu took out a whole card again, and a heat wave appeared on his body instantly, and the whole person became a burning man like Liu Erlong. The heat of the flame was actually higher than that of Liu Erlong. Reaching out a hand, a fire dragon easily appeared in Hu Jiu's hands, and the style of the fire dragon was exactly the same as that of Liu Erlong. Go. Hu Jiu casually threw the fire dragon out, facing the oncoming attack. Teacher Erlong, are you satisfied with my method, Tang San? By taking 2 kinds of immortal grasses, apricot jiaoshu and anise zuan binkeo, soaked them in the eyes of ice and fire for a day, and obtained the ability to be immune to ice and fire. Hu Jiu, however, took a step closer and directly swallowed the core of the ice and fire eyes. The ice and fire dragon pill was naturally immune to the power of ice and fire. It could be said that Liu Erlong was restrained to the death by him. If Liu Erlong's spirit power level was higher than his, this battle would not have been necessary at all. Buff. As soon as Hu Jiu's fire dragon came out, Liu Erlong's fire dragon was like encountering a natural enemy. It was just a collision, and he was swallowed half of his body in an instant, and it also cut off the connection between the fire dragon and Liu Erlong. What is this? Liu Erlong was shocked. With her knowledge, she didn't recognize the high-end power in the realm. Haha, Mr. Erlong, don't you want to see my ultimate trick? Look, you say this trick is definitely not absolute. Hu Jiu proudly controlled the fire dragon and swayed in front of Liu Erlong. Boy, you succeeded in angering me. Seeing Hu Jiu's triumphant look, Liu Erlong gritted his teeth. Come on. Fire dragon's real body, I won't call you Liu Erlong if I don't beat you into a pig's head today. In an instant, Liu Erlong's body changed instantly, and the one that appeared in front of him was a flaming dragon that was more than 10 meters long. With an angry dragon roar, the fire dragon flew into the sky, instantly tearing apart Hu Jiu's fake dragon. Fuck, Mr. Erlong, can't you afford it? I'm not playing anymore. I can't afford it. At this time, how dare Hu Jiu quarrel with her? Activate the teleportation soul skill and appear directly in front of Xiao Wu and the others who just arrived. I'll Wait for you at the gate of Xiandao City. We'll leave today. Leaving. A sentence. Ignoring Liu Erlang's angry shouting behind him, Hu Jiu injected a large amount of soul power, and a long-distance teleportation instantly disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Hu Jiu, if you dare to leave, you will never come back, if you have the ability. Liu Erlang shouted angrily, and the dragon's tail slapped around point bang. The teacup in Flender's hand fell to the ground, but he froze in place, motionless. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 Return. Ninth brother, you're done. Teacher Erlang is mad. Outside Xiandao City, the 9 monsters of Shrek came in a hurry, and Mahanjan shouted in a hurry point behind him. Damu Bei and the others also looked worried. For more than half a year, they had been cleaned up by Liu Erlang quite a few times, and they knew very well what state the furious Liu Erlang was in. Zhu Zuking on the side looked at him with concerned eyes, and asked silently. Hu Jiu gave her a comforting look, smiled and hugged Xiao Wu who was pounced on him. He wanted to understand just now, what was he afraid of? Liu Erlang. What if she couldn't do anything to herself? What if she was angry? Could she really take care of herself? In another month, he would be level 60. At that time, it is not certain who will teach whom. Isn't it the spirit avatar? After reaching level 60, he will be sure to deal with the spirit avatar by merging with the big cat spirit point. If it was someone else, he might not be sure yet, but Liu Erlang of the Fire Dragon Martial Spirit, haha, was just beaten to death by him. It's okay. Mr. Erlang is hard-hearted and soft-hearted. Maybe he will forget it at some point. Hu Jiu waved his hand and stopped talking about this topic. By the way, have you packed your things? It will take a lot of time to go to the Stardao Forest this time. Mu Bei nodded and said, you can rest assured that I will do things. Everything that should be prepared is ready. Then, go. Hu Jiu ordered to go point. Although he could teleport to hurry, Hu Jiu could only lead everyone on his way normally, because he had brought so much drag point. Fortunately, during this time, everyone has learned to control distractions, and they can meditate, while rushing on the road without delaying the progress of their cultivation. Don't worry, we don't miss this time, just go slowly. Hu Jiu instructed everyone. At present, he is already at level 58. With 10 times the cultivation progress he has blessed in 24 hours, it will only take him a month to break through to level 60. Since he is going to the Stardao Great Forest, then he will take his next soul together with him. Ring solved. Haha, I finally don't have to stay in the academy for classes. This time let's go back to the academy. After playing for a while, Xiao Wu cheered and suggested, of course you can, as long as you don't slow down your training speed. Hu Jiu looked at Xiao Wu dotingly, without the slightest objection to her request. After all, being eaten by a big cat made him guilty. This also made him feel that he owed Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu didn't notice this. She was happy for herself. The Stardao Great Forest was more than 200 kilometers away from Xiandao City. A group of people walked slowly, all the way up the mountains and rivers. By the time they passed through Soto City, more than half a month had passed. Let's go to Shrek Village tonight. Looking at the city walls of Soto City, a flash of nostalgia flashed in Tang San's eyes. They spent nearly 2 years in this place. Damu Bei and the others stayed longer, and had a deeper affection for the original Shrek. I don't know if my 2 twin sisters are still there. Damu Bei licked his lips, saying, those twins taste better, huh? Ning Rang Grang looked at Damu Bei with disgust. Boss Day, can't you be more serious? Look at the 9th and 3rd brothers, how serious they are. Rang Grang, in fact, I can be serious, Oscar said, licking his face. Go away. Ning Rang Grang replied without even thinking about it, hitting him hard enough. Damu Bei, Mahanjan, and Oscar, in her heart, were a trio of rotten people. They often didn't go home in the middle of the night. Don't think she didn't know what to do. She knew a lot. Oh, forget it. I have a wife. Hu Jiu touched his nose embarrassedly. As the saying goes, rabbits don't eat grass on the edge of a nest. It's not nearly anywhere. He still knows that. Don't talk about me. I'm not interested in this. Tang San waved his hands, blushing a little. Ning Rang turned pale in shock. His little head was wandering around several men, and there were a lot of bold thoughts in his mind. Not interested in women. Could it be? Oh, so exciting. Little witch, your brain is normal. The little three is pure and clean, and she is more chaste than you. Hu Jiu felt a deep malice from Ning Rang's side, and said to her angrily, point as expected of a little witch, her mind is enchanted. Haha. Zhu Zuking covered his mouth and snickered, looking at Hu Jiu boldly, and gave him a teasing look, while carrying Xiao Wu, which made Hu Jiu instantly angry. This girl is not cold, and she is so brave, not to be outdone. Hu Jiu returned a hungry wolf-like look. Point for more than half a month. He has stored a lot of shells. Go, enter the city. Let's take a good rest in Soto City for 2 days, and then go to the Stardao Great Forest. Hu Jiu waved his hand, and instantly decided the arrangement for tonight. Okay. As soon as these words came out, Damu Bei, Oscar, and Mahanjan all handed over their grateful glances, and at the end they secretly gave him a thumbs up. Brother. Ninth is indeed brother. Ninth. Brother enough. The thought involuntarily popped up in the hearts of the three of them. Everyone entered Soto City, and when the hotel opened, Zhu Zuking refused the request to sleep with Ning Rang. As a last resort, Ning Rang had to pester Xiao Wu and asked to sleep with her, and Hu Jiu also rejected Tang San. This kid knows how to rub against him in the field of ice and fire. That night, Hu Jiu quietly disappeared in his room and appeared in front of Zhu Zuking. As soon as Hu Jiu gang appeared, Zhu Zuking, who was still cultivating, immediately opened his eyes, half lying on the bed, stretched out his slender jade fingers, and hooked his fingers towards him. His eyes were hot and domineering. The iceberg beauty has been developed into a volcano by Hu Jiu. After a night of silence, the next morning, everyone decided to go to Shrek Village to have a look. The village is still the original village. There is a wooden fence around the perimeter, and the entrance to the village is still an arch made of wood. There is a plaque that looks a bit tattered. On the plaque, the characters of Shrek Academy are almost worn out. Only those who are familiar can see the writing on it. Next to the plaque, there is a green head that looks like the head of a humanoid monster. Green and a little cute. This is Shrek's image. Entering the village, the simple and plain wooden houses, the empty playground, the wooden bridge next to the dormitory area, the sound of the river flowing. Everything is just like yesterday. If you want to talk about being at ease, you're still at ease here. Mahanjan raised his head, breathing the air here greedily. You kid is useless. You can't enjoy the prosperity of the big city. Damu Bei teased. Well, let's stay here tonight and miss the time we used to study here. Xiao Wu jumped to Hu Jiu's side and said, okay, but you have to clean up the house later. Hu Jiu had no problem with this. Anyway, he was not in a hurry. In more than half a month, he has been promoted by 1 level, and now it is 59th level. Level 60 is still 1 step away. Chapter 238 Tang San 039 S Messy Cloak. Well, I won't be staying here tonight. There are still some things I need to deal with in Soto City. Hearing that he was going to live here, Damu Bei coughed awkwardly and then said casually, last night, he found the twin sisters again. Their enthusiasm was undiminished, and they had already made an appointment to play games together tonight. As a man, how could he miss the appointment? Boss Day and I have something to do. You can live here by yourself. We'll come to meet tomorrow. Oscar followed closely, hugging Damu Bei's shoulders cordially, giving a nice picture of the two brothers' look. After they had finished speaking, Mahanjan scratched his head and didn't say the reason at all. He silently stood beside Damu Bei and Oscar, expressing his decision with his actions. Although the evil fire problem was resolved, he had already tasted it, and he was looking for more women than Damu Bei and Oscar combined. The key is that, now that you have money, you don't have to go to such low-end places anymore. If you want to go, just go to those places where Damu Bei went. Dirty. After the three of them left behind shoulder to shoulder, Meng still scolded suddenly, not knowing who he was scolding. After hesitating for a while, Meng still gritted his teeth and simply came to Hu Jiu and said in an inexplicable tone, "Brother Jiu, I want to talk to you." "Okay." Hu Jiu nodded understandingly, then turned to Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhu King and said, "Then I'll ask you to help clean up my room." "Thank you. Go. It's a woman's business to clean up the house. You don't need to worry about it." Xiao Wu pushed Hu Jiu, urging him to speak to Meng still behind Tang San's expressionless face. "When did cleaning up the house become a woman's patent? I can do it too." Avoiding the crowd, Meng still stopped and turned to look at Hu Jiu. "Ninth. Brother, okay, you don't need to say it, I understand it all." Hu Jiu interrupted Meng Yan's words. "It's the fat man who doesn't live up to his expectations. I used to be selfish, so you can treat the engagement as a joke. I'll go to the fat man's side. Speaking of which, he wouldn't dare to talk too much." Hu Jiu waved her hands, shook her head and sighed. Although such a good woman is not as good as Xiao Wu, nor as big as Big Cat, nor as much as Ling Rangrong, she has grown up, and a young and beautiful girl who has grown up is still very attractive. It's just that he also lacks skills, and doesn't want to provoke too much. "Thank you, Brother Jiu." Meng still sighed in relief, with a grateful expression on his face. She was afraid that Hu Jiu would not be satisfied. Looking at the Shrek 9 eccentrics, which one did not rely on Hu Jiu to achieve today's achievements, whether it is now or in the future, she does not want to offend Hu Jiu, nor does she want him to have a pimple in his heart. After all, there is food to eat with Brother Ninth. If it wasn't for him already having Xiao Wu, maybe she would have seized the opportunity long ago. Pity. After comforting Meng Yilan, Hu Jiu returned to the dormitory area. When he returned, he found that everyone had done a good job of cleaning and sanitation, and the entire dormitory looked brand new, just like when he lived here before. Seeing that it was still early, Hu Jiu came to the training ground, took out the meteor hammer, and began to practice the random cloak hammer technique. His goal was very simple. He wanted to omit the tedious process of accumulating power in the chaotic cloak, and let this spirit skill become his powerful attack method again. The idea is also very simple. According to the previous life, it is to simplify the complex first, and then simplify the complex. One sword. All methods are unified. That's what it means anyway. In front of him, he has already achieved the pinnacle of prosperity. 9981 hammers are combined, and finally hit the last hammer, and what he has to do now is to simplify the 9981 hammers, to the extent that only one hammer can be fired, and the power is not reduced at all. Although this is difficult to do, with the help of the on-hook panel, every time you try a little bit, the progress bar of the on-hook panel will grow slightly. After the progress is full, the promotion effect should not be too bad. Little San, how far have you cultivated your chaotic cloak hammering technique? After cultivating for a while, he found that Tang San was sitting cross-legged on the playground, watching him quietly. This fellow is rubbing his ice and fire field again. "I can't compare to you, but I've been able to fully use the 9981 hammer." Tang San looked depressed. Hu Jiu's hammer technique became more and more sophisticated, watching his own soul skill in the hands of others to flourish. This feeling is really bad. "Oh, the progress is very fast. Give me a call." Hu Jiu suddenly became interested. "Okay." Tang San stood up, wiped his waist, took out a sledgehammer he usually used to strike iron, and held it in his hand. The sledgehammer was raised high, the body pulled away, and suddenly began to hammer the ground. One hammer, two hammers, three hammers. Tang San couldn't hit the air. To charge up for the time being, he had to hit something. It may also be that he is used to hammering, and is used to using the rebound force of the hammer to charge up. From this point of view, Hu Jiu's random cloak hammer technique was already different from Tang San's, which was also the reason why Tang San's expression was gloomy just now, because he couldn't charge up airstrikes. Tang San was still hammering the ground with a bang, and if he had a body, he would use the force of inertia to be dragged around by the sledgehammer, and then continue hammering. The ground was badly damaged, and he hammered some big holes all over the playground. When it was the turn of the 81 hammer, Tang San shouted, "Alright, Tang San jumped high, the sledgehammer carrying enormous power, and the hammerhead was illuminated by a layer of emerald green light. Hu Jiu could see at a glance that the hammerhead was Tang San's spirit power point. Boom. As soon as the hammer fell, a large pit with a diameter of 2 meters appeared in front of Hu Jiu. Tang San stomped the meteor hammer, panting heavily. Haha, little San, your body is not very good, you should exercise more. Hu Jiu made a mocking expression. Tang San rolled his eyes at him angrily. You think I'm you? I haven't practiced King Kong without breaking the body. I can hit 81 hammers, and it's thanks to the physical fitness I've trained for so many years. Little San, I can see that your cloak hammering technique has reached a bottleneck. If you want a breakthrough, you can't solve it by practicing hard. I remember that in the original book, Tang San was also trained by Tang Heo to cultivate the chaotic cloak to the top. Dacheng's chaotic cloak is so powerful that it can make a dragon, which even the current Hu Jiu can't do. Yeah, I'm also very distressed. I haven't made progress in the random cloak hammering technique for a long time. Tang San scratched his scalp with a helpless expression. Then Hu Jiu smiled lightly, raised his hand, and threw the meteor hammer in his hand. How about trying this? Fuck. Tang San was startled. Zuan Shiangong was working at full power. Zuan Yu activated his hands, stretched out his hands, to meet the flying star hammer. This meteor hammer was made by him. It weighed 1280 jin. Hu Jiu just threw it at random, regardless of whether he could pick it up or not. You must know that the spikes on the meteor hammer are cold iron for thousands of years. If there is no Zuan Yu hand, he would not dare to touch it. Chapter 239 Trinity Martial Spirit Fusion Technique. Taking the meteor hammer, Tang San waved it twice, feeling very uncomfortable. The meteor hammer has no handle, only an iron chain. If it wasn't for Tang San's ability to control, he might even hurt himself. What does this do for me? I feel that it is too heavy, and it is not easy to use. Tang San asked suspiciously. What you want is that it doesn't go well. Hu Jiu explained. Your hammer of iron is not helpful for you to cultivate the chaos cloak. If you want to break through the bottleneck, you can use my meteor hammer, and you can use the meteor hammer to break the chaos. The cloak hammer method is successfully used, and you are successful. After all, Tang San didn't have an on-hook panel, and if he wanted to improve his spirit ability realm, he could only cultivate step by step. In the original book, Tang Heo let him practice under the waterfall, and even let him use various wooden hammers, and so on. Hu Jiu's method was similar. It was unrealistic to let Tang San go to the waterfall to practice, but there was no problem in changing weapons. Okay, then I'll try. Tang San knew that, since Hu Jiu said so, there must be no problem. After all, Hu Jiu wouldn't hurt him. Holding the meteor hammer, Tang San imitated Hu Jiu's way of using the meteor hammer, and began to stumblingly cultivate the chaotic cloak. Tang San has a good brain, and is also diligent. When others are playing, he is cultivating. When others are cultivating, he is still cultivating. It didn't take long before I gradually got used to the use of the meteor hammer and entered the right path. In terms of diligence, although he couldn't compare to Zhu's Yuking, other than her, no one else in Shrek could compare to him. Not long after cultivating, several girls also came. Oh, one of them can no longer be a girl, it should be called a woman. A group of people surrounded Hu Jiu, waiting for his ginseng to feed. Hu Jiu's ginseng without soul skills is the evolution of ginseng, which can not only evolve the martial arts, but also satisfy hunger, killing two birds with one stone. Of course, under the control of Hu Jiu, Hu Ginseng can also have no evolutionary power. Suddenly, Hu Jiu had a whimsical idea. Since he confused with Zhu's Yuking's martial spirit, after turning into a white tiger, then can he fuse with the trinity of martial arts like Flender, Liu Erlong, and Yu Xiao Gang? You must know that his and Xiao Wu's martial arts fusion degree is very high. If we have to say a ratio, it is 99%. The fusion degree with Zhu's Yuking's martial spirit is not low. After all, they have communicated with each other so many times. At least she has a higher degree of fusion with Damu Bei's martial spirit than in the original book. It's worth a try. Hu Jiu groaned and pondered. Tiger, rabbit, cat, what kind of martial arts fusion skills can be formed? Zhao Jiu, what are you thinking about? Xiao Wu asked curiously while chewing on the ginseng. I was wondering if we could use the Trinity martial spirit fusion skill like the golden iron triangle. Hu Jiu replied, what? Everyone's eyes suddenly turned to Hu Jiu. Their eyes bright point. The 3-in-1 martial arts fusion skill seems to be very fun, especially Tang San. He was interested in martial arts fusion skills, but he just hadn't met anyone who could fuse martial arts. Hu Jiu's eyes froze when Tang San saw him and hurriedly avoided his gaze. Little San, don't think about it. You don't have that talent. Tang San, don't make trouble. Tell me, what do you think? Tang San rolled his eyes at him and asked seriously, well, I just thought, when I transform into a white tiger, I can fuse with Xiu King's martial spirit, and I myself have a high degree of martial arts fusion with Xiao Wu. Maybe, when I and Xiu King merge into one when the netherworld white tiger, Xiao Wu can also join in. Hu Jiu poked his chin and looked at the big cat and then at the little rabbit. Since he wants both, let's fuse them together, and they will be a family. But now Boss Day isn't here. How have you changed? Tang San asked. It's alright. Since the evolution of the soul changing skill, I found that not only can I transform into a spirit beast, but also when I transform into someone else's spirit, I don't need to change in person. I can keep his spirit aura, so that I can change at will. Then, my clear sky hammer. Tang San asked hastily. That's right. Your clear sky hammer is the same. Look. Hu Jiu showed off his transformation ability with a smile, transforming Hu Shen into a clear sky hammer in front of Tang San. Oh, this hammer of yours is quite heavy. It's just over 2,000 kilograms. Why does it feel so suitable for me? That's my martial spirit. Tang San said quietly. It's okay. What's yours is mine. Just borrow it and use it. Hu Jiu said indifferently. I found that your soul changing skills are terrifying. I don't know if you can change other people's martial arts, but also change the appearance of this person. Xiao Jiu, you must be steady, and you can't use your ability to do bad things. Tang San was a little worried. Hey, what are you afraid of? You don't have a wife now, and besides, I won't do bad things like you. After all, you're not as handsome as me. Hu Jiu deliberately changed the topic, so it's better to change the soul skill. He doesn't want it yet. Come on, Xiu King, Xiao Wu, get ready. Let's try the fusion of martial arts. The clear sky hammer in Hu Jiu's hand disappeared, and then he turned into Daimyo Bei's white tiger martial arts, and started to possess martial arts. Okay, hurry up, I'm going to try it too. Xiao Wu jumped up and instantly completed her spirit possession. Zhu Xiu King silently swapped out the ghost cat and instantly turned into a cat-eared girl. Looking at Hu Jiu affectionately, Zhu Xiu King instantly recovered his coldness. His body became illusory and he went straight to Hu Jiu. Roar. A huge nether white tiger appeared in front of everyone again. The white tiger is transparent throughout, with white hair and black stripes, and purple eyes. The white tiger is 8 meters long and more than 2 meters high. Even if this is not the first time I have seen it, every time I see it, everyone will have a shocking feeling involuntarily. Wuhan, it's really amazing. Xiao Wu, come quickly. Following this deep feeling, Hu Jiu called out to Xiao Wu. It was also Hu Jiu's Xiao Wu's martial spirit that had a deep connection. Even if Hu Shen had turned into a white tiger, his essence would not change, and he could still have a connection with Xiao Wu. Then I'm here. Xiao Wu imitated Zhu Xiu King's appearance, followed her body instinct, turned into a phantom, and rushed straight towards the ghostly white tiger standing on the spot. Suddenly, Xiao Wu merged into the netherworld white tiger. Roar. Under the gazes of Tang San, Ning Rangrong, and Meng Yiren, the netherworld white tiger instantly changed dramatically. The originally transparent netherworld white tiger gradually materialized, and its body began to swell. Afterwards, the ghostly white tiger in front of the three actually rose up with human power and turned into a tiger man. The black stripes on the tiger man's body have disappeared, and the whole body is snow white, becoming a real white tiger. Little San, I'm so strong now. You said if I step down, would I trample you to death? Hu Jiu joked that, although his voice was low, such a tall body sounded like thunder when he spoke. You try to step on it, believe it or not, I'll give you a hammer. At this time, an old voice with a hoarse voice came over. Hu Jiu only felt cold all over, and the 15-meter tall tiger man shuddered. But when Tang San heard this voice, his eyes instantly turned red. He looked around and shouted loudly, "Dat!" Chapter 240 Tang Heo appears. The person who can make Tang San call his father. Besides Tang Heo. Everyone looked back, and at some point, a tall figure appeared in front of everyone. The sloppy beard, the tattered black robe, and a wine jug in his hand, all of which prove the identity of the person who came. Tang Heo nodded calmly to Tang San, then walked to the tiger man with a strange smile on his face. The 3-in-1 martial arts fusion skill is a bit interesting. But who did you say you were stepping on? Hu Jiu's body trembled involuntarily. In his eyes, Tang Heo in front of him was just a little bit. Compared with his 15-meter high body, it seemed like he could be trampled to death with 1 foot. But actually, looking at Tang Heo standing in front of him, Hu Jiu didn't even have the courage to do it. The majestic tiger man showed a funny smile, licked his face and shouted, "Uncle Heo, why are you here?" Tang San's happy expression instantly froze when he saw that his father only nodded to him. Fortunately, Tang Heo has never been very kind to him, and he is used to it. After he figured it out, Tang San became happy. At least, he saw his father. "Dad, Hu Jiu is playing with me. Don't be angry." "I know." Tang Heo nodded, still looking at the tiger man formed by the fusion of Hu Jiu, Xiao Wu, and Zhu's Yuking. "Come on, let me try your Trinity fusion skills. Don't worry, I don't need martial arts or soul power, Uncle Heo, don't do it." Hu Jiu smiled bitterly. "Your old man said the same thing when he taught Flender. I heard it all. Come on, I have something to do later." Tang Heo said impatiently. "Okay, then." Seeing that he couldn't run away after this beating, Hu Jiu reluctantly agreed. Although the promise was dawdling, but it was ruthless when it started, and the field of ice and fire was opened immediately. In an instant, Tang Heo was covered within the scope of the ice and fire domain, and the power of extreme cold and heat were all exerted on Tang Heo, allowing him to experience what is called the double world of ice and fire. Something. Is there anything else? Tang Heo frowned, then looked at Hu Jiu without changing his face. It seemed that Hu Jiu's ice and fire domain had no effect on him. Of course there is. The tiger man composed of the 3-in-1 martial arts fusion skill made him feel connected with Xiao Wu and Zhu's Yuking, and he could also use their soul skills. At this moment, Hu Jiu activated Xiao Wu's instant speed. His body turned into a white light and slammed into Tang Heo. Tang Heo's eyes lit up. He calmly stretched out his left hand and punched out. The seemingly ordinary fist made Hu Jiu feel an incomparable force, and his body flew out instantly. The holy light is restored. The moment he flew out, Hu Jiu treated himself at a very fast speed. Now he finally knew how powerful title Douluo was. He couldn't take a normal punch, and instead suffered internal injuries. Golden light is not bad. He flipped a somersault in midair, and the moment he landed, the 15-meter tall tiger man swelled again, his body soaring to 16 meters. Soul ability Berserk. Strong spirit power fluctuations appeared, and the 16-meter tall tiger man grew taller again, and this time it increased to about 20 meters after the blessing. Hu Jiu only felt that his whole body was full of power. Even if the title Douluo was standing in front of him, he dared to take a shot. Netherworld thrust. The tiger claws popped out, and the sharp claws burst into cold light, instantly turning into an after image. Boom. The tick collided, and Hu Jiu's huge body stepped back 7 or 8 steps, almost exiting the playground. But Tang Heo didn't feel well. He was finally beaten back by Hu Jiu. Although he only took a small step back, it was enough to make Hu Jiu proud for a long time. Not bad. Tang Heo commented lightly. Is there any other means? Let's use it together. What other means? Hu Jiu fell into contemplation. He has many other means, such as Xiao Wu's waist bow, invincible golden body, Zhu King's ghost eyes, ghost claws, ghost shadow clones, and more. the attack methods such as tongue touch and mental shock attached to the external spirit bone. But these means to deal with the titled Douluo, it is impossible point. But even if he couldn't beat him, Hu Jiu used all these spirit abilities one by one. It was obvious that Uncle Heo wanted to give him instructions. After all the means and all the cards were used, Hu Jiu cancelled the fusion of martial arts and then looked at Tang Heo expectantly, waiting for his comment. It's not big, and there are quite a few messy methods, but it's too messy. It's okay to deal with ordinary soul masters. If you meet a titled Douluo, you can't beat any of them. If you have time, you might as well cultivate with your heart. Tang Heo frowned. Brow evaluation point in Tang Heo's eyes. Hu Jiu was a waste of talent. With so many means, none of them could play a key role. Oh, there is still one, that is teleportation, which is useful when escaping. What? Uncle Heo taught. Hu Jiu smiled bitterly and lowered his head, not daring to refute. What to refute? Others are titled Douluo, and the others are ordinary soul masters. Old Versailles he is a little sulking, and it is very good to have the achievements he has now, and he does not think about how old he is now. Tang Heo glanced at Xiao Wu, who was holding Hu Jiu's trembling arms. The expression on his face softened, and he even nodded kindly to her, making Xiao Wu's arms hug Hu Jiu even tighter. Little Sin, Xiao Jiu, and this girl, you stay, and the others leave first. I have something to tell them. Tang Heo waved and started chasing people. Ning Rang Grang and Meng still looked at each other, and didn't dare to stab them. They saw the scene when Tang Heo easily resisted Hu Jiu Kang's bombardment. They blocked all attacks with just one fist. And to put it mildly, it sold. The two saluted respectfully, and then left quickly holding hands. Uncle Heo, you. Hu Jiu looked at Tang Heo hesitantly, wondering what he was doing. It must not be because of Xiao Wu's spirit ring and spirit bone, right? Remember what he said in the original book, because of Yin, he would not take action against Xiao Wu. Could it be because he is not his son's daughter-in-law? His mind changed. That Tang San came to Tang Heo and deliberately blocked his gaze towards Xiao Wu. Hu Jiu said that Xiao Wu's identity could not be hidden from titled Douluo, and his father was a very powerful titled Douluo, and he was really afraid that his father would hurt Xiao Wu. Not to mention the friendship between him and Xiao Wu. Just based on Xiao Jiu's relationship, he will also protect Xiao Wu. Okay. Seeing Tang San's hidden movements, Tang Heo showed a look of praise. He patted Tang San's shoulder and squeezed a smile. It seems that you have really grown up. Don't worry, I won't do anything to her. Tang Heo's words reassured the three of them, especially Xiao Wu, who opened his mouth in surprise. What's the meaning? Could it be that his identity as a 100,000-year soul beast is worthless? Why? Is it because of Mom? Tang San instantly recalled what Hu Jiu said. He said that in his eyes, he and Xiao Wu are not much different. Chapter 241 Tang San 039 S Life Experience. Do you know about your mother? Tang Heo's eyes narrowed, and then, as if thinking of something, he turned his head and gave Hu Jiu a deep look with an inexplicable expression. You know a little bit more. Hu Jiu scratched the back of his head embarrassedly, showing a smile on his face. In front of Tang Heo, he was still quite stressed. Dad, don't blame Xiao Jiu. It's all my fault. I forced him to tell him, because I wanted to know about my mother. Tang San looked at Tang Heo respectfully, helping Hu Jiu to clear the siege. Hey, based on your strength, I didn't want you to know about it, but your growth rate is not bad. You'll know it when you know it. Tang Heo sighed, sensing Tang San's strength. His face showed again reassured expression. It had only been a few months since he had seen him, and Xiao had broken through to level 46, which surprised him. Xiao Jiu is right. Your mother's identity is the same as this girl, but she is stronger and more beautiful than the girl. Humph. Xiao Wu showed her little tiger teeth and muttered incessantly, my mother is really blue silver grass? Although he had already received the news from Hu Jiu, Tang San still felt incredible when he actually got confirmation from his father he is really the son of the soul beast. Wrong, your mother is not an ordinary blue silver grass. She is the blue silver emperor. The emperor and the blue silver grass, and the blue silver grass in the world, are all her subjects. Tang Heo explained. Then, my mother is now. Tang San hesitated for a while, but still asked. He wanted to know the answer, although he had already guessed when he was born, and he could know the result from his father's decadent appearance for so many years. He still held out hope. Your mother, hey, I'll take you to see her after you finish participating in the Soul Master competition. Tang Heo was silent for a while, then took a swig of wine. Meet Mom? Tang San looked at Tang Heo hopefully, his eyes firm. Dad, don't worry, I will definitely achieve good results in the Spirit Master competition. Yeah. Tang Heo nodded, losing interest in speaking. Little San, choose an immortal grass for Uncle Heo. I don't think his health is very good. Hu Jiu gave Tang San a look. What, Dad, you? Tang San immediately became excited when he heard the words, reached out and grabbed Tang Heo's arm. The Zuanshan Gong in his body was running, and he searched without hesitation. Tang Heo was afraid of hurting his son, so he had to shrink his soul power, and did not dare to resist. Boy, do you really think I dare not take care of you? Tang Heo glared at Hu Jiu. This boy even knew that he was injured, and there was indeed something. Uncle Heo, I still have something to do. You and Zio-san can talk slowly, and I won't disturb your father and son's exchange of feelings. Hu Jiu saw that the situation was not good, and immediately took Zio for a walk. He was afraid that if he stayed, Tang Heo would really take care of him. Originally, I was going to sue Douluo for being black, but I won't sue it anymore. Dad, the injury on your body. Tang San's eyes were filled with tears, and his eyes were red. It's alright, I can hold on. A man, don't be a mother-in-law. Tang Heo waved his hand and said indifferently, Dad. Tang San thumped and knelt on the ground. I beg you, don't fight with people in the future. Okay, get up. Tang Heo scolded. When will it be your turn to take care of me? No, I'll take care of it. Dad, you can't do it anymore. You'll die if you do it again. Tang San kept wiping away his tears. From the observation just now, he already knew that Tang Heo's body was already in a bad state to a certain extent. Yes, I have immortal grass. Dad, I'll give you immortal grass to eat. Tang San rummaged through the 24 bridges in the moonlit night, trying to find a immortal grass that heals internal injuries. However, after rummaging through the soul tools, none of them met the requirements. Zio Jiu. Yes, Zio Jiu can also heal. He has the Holy Light Soul skill. I will find him back. Okay. Don't go. He can't cure my injury. Seeing Tang San's anxious look, Tang Heo's expression softened. He touched Tang San's head and patted it twice. You can grow up as soon as possible. I'm relieved. Next, Tang Heo and Tang San and his son started chatting. Mainly Tang San was talking, and Tang Heo was listening. Listening to Tang San's growing up experience. Although he paid attention to Tang San, most of the time he was still guarding Ah Yin, adopting a free-range attitude towards Tang San. But fortunately, Tang San didn't grow crooked, which made him very happy. When he heard that Tang San was captured by Douluo, took away the eyes of Bingho Liangai. Tang Heo's eyes showed a strong evil spirit. Leo. TZU's son, can you be bullied by a little poisoned Douluo? Courting death. Dad, I have a very good relationship with senior Douluo. The suffocation coming from him made Tang San's heart suddenly burst, and he hurriedly explained for Douluo. After getting along for more than half a year, he and Douluo were both teachers and friends. In addition, they both played drugs and had a deep relationship. He didn't want his father to trouble him. The point is, Dad's injuries are too serious to support him any longer. Humph. Tang Heo didn't reply. He had already made up his mind to find the time to teach Douluo a lesson. Tang Heo's attitude made Tang San feel helpless. He couldn't do anything about his own father. On the other side, Zio was still in shock and fear. Zio Jiu, you said that Zio-san's mother is also a 100,000-year-old soul beast? Hu Jiu nodded and explained. That's right. His mother is also a soul beast, but she is smarter than you and knows that you can hide and practice until you reach the 70th level. Was caught by someone else. I don't want to. I would never have thought that Xiaozen's father is a titled Douluo. Fortunately, he is not a bad person. Otherwise I would be really bad. Xiao Wu said fearfully. It's good to know. So, hurry up and cultivate. Don't be playful. Cultivate to the 70th level as soon as possible, and I can feel at ease when I become an adult. Hu Jiu took the opportunity to teach a lesson. Okay. Xiao Wu lowered her head and said reluctantly point. After meeting with ZHU Zuking, Ning Rangrong, and the others, Hu Jiu explained Tang Heo's affairs a little bit, and when they learned that he was a titled Douluo from the Clear Sky School, Ning Rangrong, ZHU Zuking, and Meng still opened their mouths in surprise. None of them are ordinary people, especially Ning Rangrong, who was born in the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile School and is very well informed. When they knew that Tang San's father was Haoshan Douluo, they knew more about his deeds than Hu Jiu knew many. The crowd listened with gusto. Rangrong, how's it going? Now I know Tang San's identity is not a bit regretful. I told you that you can start earlier. Hu Jiu teased. HMPH, I don't care. Compared with the third brother, I think you are the more suitable person. You don't have a family, so you can just join the family, but it's a pity that you already have Xiao Wu. Ning Rangrong looked regretful expression. Hey, Rangrong, you dead girl. Xiao Jiu is mine. I want a man to find someone else. Xiao Wu ran over to scratch her itch. I'm going to rob your Xiao Jiu. Hee hee. So, when a girl is a hooligan, there is nothing to do with a man. Hu Jiu sighed helplessly, blaming herself for being too good, and all the beauties rushed to her door. Chapter 242 Soul Hunting. Tang Heo's sudden appearance made Tang San the most excited, followed by Hu Jiu. Remember last time, Tang Heo promised him that he would give him a soul skill next time. Now the time has come. I don't know what kind of soul skill Uncle Heo gave him. Hu Jiu was looking forward to it. While Hu Jiu was looking forward to it, Tang San brought extremely bad news. What? You said Uncle Heo has something to leave? Hu Jiu looked at Tang San in a stunned manner and asked incredulously. What? About my soul skill? Dignified. Titled Douluo, don't you want to give me a soul skill? Hu Jiu didn't care about other things at all. He only cared about when his soul skills were in place. What? Spirit ability? Tang San asked. Your dad said, let me take good care of you, and when we meet next time, give me a soul skill. Little San, just tell me, did I take care of you in vain? Now your dad runs away now. Who am I looking for soul skills? Hu Jiu's eyes on Tang San also changed. It turns out that you have such a poor status in Tang Heo's eyes that it's because my dad was in a hurry, so he forgot, or I'll remind him next time. Tang San was embarrassed to say that, although he was not the one who promised Hu Jiu, the father still paid the debt. There is no problem in his head. And from the point of view of conscience, Hu Jiu is really good to him. He has eaten his carrots since he was 6 years old. Now that his martial arts has evolved, he eats ginseng every day. If it weren't for Hu Jiu, he would not have it now. 46 levels of strength. Only 14 years old. 14-year-old soul sect. Even in the history of Douluo continent, I'm afraid there are not many, but there is a group of them here, and the more powerful ones have even become soul kings. Oh, I knew. Hu Jiu thought about it. Tang Heo knew his daughter-in-law. He didn't even care about his son. How could he care about him? Thinking of this, my mood suddenly calmed down. And Tang Heo's presence here also made him guess. Probably, it's not far from Ayin. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so coincidental. They came to the door as soon as they returned to Soto City. Xiao Jiu, since dad has already promised you, then this matter should be counted on my head. I will help you find that soul skill later. Tang San patted his chest and assured, I the one who sent you that soul skill? Hu Jiu cast a glance at Tang San. If you have the ability, pass on the Zuan Shan Gong to me. Tang San. Several people stayed at the Shrek Academy in the village for one night, and then officially set off for the Stardao Great Forest the next day. Boss, Day. What kind of spirit beast do you need for your 5th spirit ring? Hu Jiu asked. According to the family heritage, my 5th spirit ring is best to increase the power of my spirit skills. The most suitable one for me is the evil tiger. I just don't know if there are any spirit beasts in the Stardew forest that are suitable for me. Day. Bei was not polite and directly stated his needs, and it was still the best choice, and he didn't even mention the secondary target, evil tiger with demon marks. Hu Jiu looked at Xiao Wu. This is the native of the Stardew Great Forest. If you want to find a soul beast, you should find her. This seems to be a bit of an impression. It should be in the north. Let's take a detour. Xiao Wu nodded her lips, and she finally had an impression in her mind. Okay, listen to you. Hu Jiu waved his hand, changed his path, and started rushing to the north of the Stardew Great Forest. Zhu Zuking and Bei were both members of the Starluo Empire, and their inheritance spirit beasts were of course biased towards the Starluo Empire range, which was very reasonable. A group of 9 people took only 1 day to reach the north of the Stardew Great Forest. Have a night's rest. We will officially enter the forest tomorrow and hunt for the spirit ring for boss day. Hu Jiu greeted everyone and stopped. It's not too early now, and it's safer to trim on the outside of the forest. Boss day. Where's the tent you prepared? Take it out quickly. Don't worry, I've prepared it a long time ago. I've prepared 2 large tents, no problem. Bei said with a smile on his face. What? Only 2? Everyone was shocked. It's 2. We have 1 male and 1 female. Is there any problem? Bei asked suspiciously. It's too unreliable. Hu Jiu shook his head in disappointment. Fortunately, Bei's brain was not too stupid. If he only prepared a big shop, it would be over originally. He wanted to find a chance to go out with a big cat, to fight wildly at night, but the hope was dashed before he started to act. Forget it. I'll watch the night tonight. You can distribute it yourself. Hu Jiu waved his hand and asked him to sleep with a woman. Of the 2 tents, one was occupied by Tang San, Bei, Mahangjin, and Oscar, and the other tent was filled with girls, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking, Ning Rangrong, and Meng Yiran. Hu Jiu said and did it. He stayed outside by himself and helped them keep watch. In fact, there is no need for a night watch. After all, the soul beast will not come out without entering the Stardew Great Forest, and even if it is in danger, it will not escape his perception. Just be careful, within a radius of 500 meters, any disturbance will not be concealed from him. At night, Tang San slept soundly here, but Xiao Wu and the girls were noisy, and even outside, Hu Jiu could hear their chattering laughter. Curious for a while, Hu Jiu sensed their conversation from the side. Good guy, the content of the chat was very exciting. Actually, Ning Rangrong and Xiao Wu were envious of Zhu Zuking's cat getting bigger, and they were still asking for advice on what to eat to grow up. Zhu Zuking was embarrassed to say it. Hu Jiu laughed directly. How can eating work? The key is to go through his later development. Forget Ning Rangrong. After a while, I can help Xiao Wu develop it. After a night of silence, after cleaning up, he officially entered the Great Stardew Forest. Although he hadn't slept all night, Hu Jiu's physical fitness was already strong, and he still looked in good spirits under the guidance of Xiao Wu. The approximate range of activities of the demonic evil tiger was determined. The next thing is simple. Hu Jiu used his perception ability with all his strength, and soon found the trace of the evil tiger. The 5th spirit ring, generally speaking, has a limit of 12,000 years. According to this rule, Hu Jiu only took half a day to find the spirit beast that Bei needed. 9th brother, this time it's up to you. The soul beast that has been around for about 12,000 years has the same strength as the soul emperor among human beings. Among the people present, except for Hu Jiu, there is really no one who can solve it. Hu Jiu shook his head. Unless necessary, I won't take action this time. 9th brother, don't you take action? Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect that Hu Jiu would refuse to take action at a critical moment. What are you panicking about? Have you forgotten what Dean Flender said when we left the academy? Hu Jiu cast a glance at everyone. You mean this is a test for us? Tang San pondered for a while, then asked, "That's right, it's a test?" Hu Jiu swept across the crowd with a dull gaze. "Do you have the courage to challenge?" "Sorry, there are too many things today. The update is a bit late." Chapter 243 Oscar 039 S Battle. "What is there to dare? Isn't it the 10,000-year soul beast? I will burn it to death." Mahanjan patted his stomach, his eyes fierce point all of a sudden. Everyone was infected by the fat man. Yes, fuck it. Daimyo took this opportunity to start cheering for everyone. He still couldn't believe it. 8 monsters from Shrek couldn't beat a 10,000-year soul beast. He. Now I'm going to show off my skills. Xiao Wu was delighted, but Hu Jiu didn't make a move. She was the strongest in the team, and she was determined to take the limelight. The others also encouraged each other to strengthen their confidence in fighting the demon rune evil tiger. "Little San, this time the battle is under your command. Play well." Hu Jiu patted Tang San on the shoulder and said, "Okay." Tang San nodded cautiously. Commanding the battle was his strength point as a control type soul master. He was born to be a conductor next. Tang San began to make arrangements in advance, discussing tactics with everyone. Of course, basically Tang San was talking, and the others were listening. Before everyone started fighting, Hu Jiu used his perception ability to observe the demon patterned evil tiger 500 meters away from everyone. The demon patterned evil tiger is pitch black all over and has strange pale golden stripes on its body. When one's eyes stare at it, they will soon be confused by the demonic pattern. Even as time goes by, it may even pass out and become a demonic patterned evil tiger food. The reason why it is called the evil tiger, the strange magic pattern, accounts for most of the reasons a 10,000-year-old demon patterned evil tiger is relatively large, standing about 2 meters high, and the entire tiger body is 5 meters long. In the eyes of humans, it is a behemoth. While Hu Jiu was observing, Tang San had already discussed tactics. "Get ready to attack the demonic tiger, 9th. Brother, you must watch us. I'm still young. I don't want to die so young." Mahanjan asked pitifully. Hu Jiu rolled his eyes angrily. "Aren't you crazy just now? You still want to burn it to death? Go. I'll see how you burned it to death." "Ah, brother 9th, I'm joking." Mahanjan shouted. "Don't be long-winded. Let's go. Finish things early. Finish work early. After boss day absorbs the spirit ring, it's time to consider my spirit ring." Hu Jiu urged. Daimyo's spirit ring was easy to say, but it was only a spirit beast that was more than 10,000 years old, and he was confident that one person would take care of it. Not too difficult. The key is his 6th spirit ring, a spirit ring at the level of a spirit emperor, and the lifespan of the spirit ring should be around 20,000 years, and soul beasts that are around 20,000 years old are similar in strength to soul saints. Once the power of soul beasts reaches 20,000 years, they are just like human soul masters. Physical attributes can also increase the power of soul skills, and the strength skyrockets. If you want to rely on his strength alone, you can't solve it. He is a food type soul master, and he has the power to defeat soul masters of the same level. He is already very powerful. Fighting beyond the ranks is not his forte. This is a long planned growth path. Action. Tang San gave an order, and the Shrek 8 monsters each acted according to the negotiated tactics. The group spread out quietly. Daimyo, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking, Mahanjan, and Menyeran, the 5 formed an encirclement, and together with Tang San, surrounded the demonic tiger as a food type soul master. Oscar cleverly made colorful unicorn sausages, recovery sausages, detoxification sausages, and defense heart sausages in advance. That's right. Oscar's 4th spirit ability is different from the original. At level 40, he absorbed the spirit ring of a cowhide elephant and obtained a purely defensive spirit ability. The defense heart sausage increases the defense by 50%. The effect lasts for half an hour. It can be used in combination with other auxiliary system effects without any side effects. The physical existence time is 5 minutes. Don't look at the fact that it only increases the defense by 50%, but after the blessing, everyone's defense has almost increased by a large level. That is to say, after the blessing, the original defense was only the Soul Sect, and they already have the Soul King level. Defense. The chance of injury is smaller, and don't forget, Oscar's third spirit ability can also be superimposed without any side effects, increasing all attributes by 10%. In this way, everyone's defense ability has been improved by 60%. There was also Ning Rangrong. Her fourth spirit ring skill also had a defense boost. At level 40, all of her spirit skills could be increased by 50%. The key point was that it could stack with Oscar's blessing point. In this way, those who are blessed have already obtained 111% blessings in terms of defense power. At the same level, they are a group of turtle shells, and those with weak strength cannot be moved at all. Oscar's chicken is very thief. After making sausages and sharing them with everyone, he ran behind Hu Jiu and used him as a shield. Hu Jiu. He felt that he had learned. Could this be the normal way of opening a food type soul master? After making the food, the battle has nothing to do with him. The rest is to eat melons and watch the show. Oh, and finding ways to keep yourself safe. Hu Jiu decided that he would never fight again in the future. Just like Oscar, he treated others as tools for fighting, and accepted everyone's protection as a matter of course, hiding his own strength. I learned this is the essence of pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger. Hu Jiu turned around and gave Oscar a grateful look. Yes, how tiring fighting is. I won't fight in the future. Oscar was inexplicably grateful to Hu Jiu, but he didn't know it yet. Seeing Hu Jiu looking over, he didn't forget to give him a flattering look. It's still safe beside Jiu Jet. Behind Tang San, Ning Rangrong's eyes lit up, thinking in his heart, it seems that Oscar's method is very good. Hiding behind the third brother, how can it be safe to hide next to the ninth brother? I've decided, after I will give them blessings, I will hide by ninth brother. Ning Rangrong thought to himself. Here, Damu Bei and the others had already completed their spirit possession, and had also eaten Oscar's colorful unicorn sausages and offensive hard sausages, and their strength was fully blessed, superior. Tang San gave an order, and everyone immediately acted. The 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda appeared in Ning Rangrong's hand, and beams of colorful beams connected everyone. Strength, speed, soul power increase, and defense ability. The 4 attributes were instantly strengthened. Damu Bei and the others only felt that they were instantly full of power, and they couldn't wait. Immediately fight to the death with the demonic evil tiger. That's what I thought in my heart, and it's actually what I did. Zio Wu and Zhu Zuking, two agility attack type soul masters, instantly turned into phantoms, and their bodies appeared in front of the demon patterned evil tiger. Zhu Zuking's eyes were icy cold, looking at the demon patterned evil tiger, as if he were looking at a dead thing. His hands popped out sharp claws, and instantly surrounded the demon patterned evil tiger, and started to attack continuously. And Zio Wu's attack method was different from Zhu Zuking's. Zhu Zuking attacked with pure speed and high speed, with his body surrounded by a demon patterned evil tiger, attacking frantically. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244 Soul King Damu Bei. One word can describe Zio Wu's attack method: entanglement. She didn't use the speed she was proud of. Instead, it was like dancing on the tip of a knife, sticking to the demonic tiger, and her body seemed to be glued to it. No matter how the demonic tiger swung its body, it didn't throw her off. In his hand, there was a huge weapon composed of a sword light, which was bigger than his body. The sword light flew around Zio Wu's body, and rays of light fell on the body of the demon patterned evil tiger, leaving some shallow traces. It's also because the 10,000 years demon rune evil tiger's defensive power is too strong. Otherwise she and Zhu Zuking's efforts would have already broken it into 8 pieces. Oh, forgive this. The demon patterned evil tiger was also in pain and let out bursts of painful howls. Magic lines on the body are filled with soul power, and the magic lines emit amazing magic power. As long as the eyes are fixed on it, they will be attracted to the eyes and stop the attack. Attention, everyone, don't look at its magic pattern. Tang San's reminder came too late. At this moment, Tang San's eyes flashed in astonishing purple light. The purple magic pupil opened, and he was not affected by the magic pattern point reaching out a hand. Blue silver grasses that are thicker than an arm burst out of the ground and quickly wrapped around the evil tiger's body, blocking the magic pattern that was tempting everyone's sight point. But it was already too late. Damu Bei and Mahanjan were fine. Because they were top-level martial spirits, they were barely able to resist the power of the magic pattern, but Meng still was a little bit worse. Confused, he stopped the attack involuntarily. Roaring flames, give me death. Mahanjan roared. His body turned into a fiery man. Astonishing heat rushed towards his face. In sight, the ground where the demonic tiger was suddenly ignited without fire. In Tang San's blue rising in silver grass with the cooperation of Tang San and Mahanjan, the flames didn't burn down the blue silver grass, but instead seemed to complement each other, quickly spreading along the blue silver grass, and began to burn the demon patterned evil tiger. At this time, Damu Bei's attack had also arrived. His 50 level spirit power filled his spirit ability with destructive power. The white tiger meteor shower condensed into a thick white light that bombarded the demon patterned evil tiger's head. Roar. This blow. Even the demon patterned evil tiger didn't eat it. His head seemed to be hit hard, and bursts of mourning came out. Good job, blue silver cage. Tang San roared excitedly. Pieces of blue silver grass intertwined with each other, forming a huge blue silver cage, trapping the demon patterned evil tiger in it. 100. Nether claws. Zhu King, who was standing nearby, seized the opportunity very well, and his claws quickly intertwined to form a sharp flywheel, leaving a deep wound on the body of the demon patterned evil tiger. The demon patterned evil tiger roared in pain, with strong anger in its voice. It was angry. Hu. The soul power on his body exploded, and the magic pattern on his body flew out like a substance. Not only did the blue silver cage that trapped him collapse, but the remaining magic patterns also bombarded Zhu King and Xiao Wu, who were closest to it. Boom. Xiao Wu and Zhu King only felt a strong force coming, and their bodies flew out involuntarily. Fortunately, the defense on their bodies has been blessed, and their defense has been increased by 111%. After being bombarded, they did not suffer any damage. The two stabilized their bodies in midair, took out the big recovery sausage that Oscar had given them in advance, calmed down their injuries, and recovered their stamina. By the way, kill. At this time, after the demonic pattern of the evil tiger flew out, Meng still woke up. Her face was full of anger. It was too embarrassing. She was actually confused. Before she attacked, the dragon tail formed by Meng's feet slapped on the ground and flew into the air at once, stretched out his hand, and a piece of snake blade attack appeared in the air, shooting towards the demon patterned evil tiger. It just so happened that the demonic tiger erupted the demonic pattern on its body, weakening its defensive strength, and the incomparably sharp snake blade erupted on the demonic tiger's body, leaving deep wounds one after another. Xiao Wu stabilized her body, jumped, and dragged a large blade of light in her hand, which was like a breakthrough, and slashed on the neck of the demon patterned evil tiger. This knife was amazing, and half of the neck of the demon patterned evil tiger was almost cut off. Xiao Wu, slow down, don't kill it, leave some for me. Damu Bei shouted anxiously. Xiao Wu's hand knife is different from Hu Jiu's. After she has practiced to a certain level, the hand knife is used as the main weapon by Xiao Wu. The blade is bigger than her body and extremely sharp, and Hu Jiu's hand knife is different. He is developing in a small direction, the smaller the better. A few condensed. The hand knife in his hand was a hidden weapon flying knife with infinite bullets. With the hidden weapon technique taught by Tang San, it was almost impossible to guard against. The demon patterned evil tiger was seriously injured by Xiao Wu all of a sudden, and his body fell into a weak state. Damu Bei seized the opportunity. The white tiger meteor shower and the white tiger blazing light waves kept bombarding, and soon his body fell to the ground, and a black spirit ring appeared in front of everyone. Wow, we won. Brother Jiu, we won. After the battle, Ning Rang next to Hu Jiu shouted happily, hugging his arm. Yeah. Xiao Wu, who had a strong killing intent, suddenly focused his attention. Ning Rang seemed to have been hit by an acupuncture point. Her body was stiff, and she put down her hands embarrassingly. Seeing Ningrangrang's movements. Xiao Wu then retracted her gaze, with a satisfied smile on her face. Seeing this scene, Zhu Zuking had a charming smile on the corner of his mouth, not knowing what funny things he thought of. Haha, ninth brother, how is it? Our performance is not bad. Looking at the black spirit ring, Damu Bei laughed. Well, it's very good. You guys are very strong. That's it. Wait for me for 2 days, and I'll give you my spirit ring later. Hu Jiu nodded with a smile, and jokingly said, your spirit ring. Damu Bei jumped. Don't, we are exhausted from 10,000-year-old spirit beasts. We can't deal with 20,000-year-old spirit beasts. 1. Must be self-aware. The age of Hu Jiu's 6th spirit ring has been determined, which is about 20,000 years, which is equivalent to the combat power of a soul saint. Yeah, brother ninth, stop joking. We don't have the ability to help you hunt down spirit beasts. You're more or less the same as helping us. Mahanjan also said with a bitter face. Okay, stop talking. Quickly absorb the spirit ring, and then arrange the rest. Hu Jiu waved his hand, and said to Damu Bei. To be honest, he was not very satisfied with the battle just now. There was not much cooperation among the people, and they were basically fighting each other, which was a lack of combat experience. So he decided to let them exercise in the Stardow forest, to gain some practical experience, while the level has not yet broken through. It is good day. Mu Bei agreed, sat cross-legged on the ground, and began to absorb his 5th spirit ring point. After absorbing this spirit ring, he is the 3rd spirit king in the team. Chapter 245. It was not difficult for Damu Bei to absorb a 12,000-year-old spirit ring. In terms of physical fitness, he was second only to Hu Jiu and Tang San. It took 2 hours for the spirit ring to be absorbed successfully. The moment he completed the absorption, Damu Bei's body erupted with a strong aura. An invisible evil spirit permeated his body, and the aura of the king of white beasts initially appeared. That's right, boss day. The meat shields in our team have finally grown up in the future. Hu Jiu teased. Damu Bei didn't care about Hu Jiu. His strength would skyrocket, and he also got a powerful spirit ability, so he was very happy. Boss day, what good spirit ability did you get? Seeing you smiling so happily, Tang San's words attracted everyone's attention. They were very curious about Damu Bei's 5th spirit ring ability. Haha, the 5th spirit ability, the White Tiger Demon God transformation, is similar in effect to the White Tiger King Kong transformation. It is a blessing spirit ability that boosts one's own attack power, defense power, and strength. Damu Bei said with a grin, similar to the effect of the White Tiger King Kong transformation. Isn't that repeated? Oscar exclaimed in surprise. Haha. Damu Bei smiled mysteriously. How could the inheritance of spirit skills of the royal family be so simple? Zao. Ayo, you can tell from the appearance of Boss Day, his spirit ability must have other effects. Tang San turned his head with a smile, looked at Damu Bei and asked, Boss Day, don't you think so? Haha, I knew I couldn't hide this from you. Damu Bei laughed for a while, raised his head, and said proudly, Little San is right. Although the White Tiger Demon God transformation and White Tiger King Kong transformation have the same functions, the effect is not the same. Repeat point. After turning on the White Tiger King transformation, my attack power, defense power, and strength all increased by 100%. In this state, I can continue to activate the White Tiger Demon transformation, and the attack power, defense power, and power will increase by 100% on the original basis. That is to say, when the White Tiger Vajra transformation and the White Tiger Demon transformation are activated at the same time, will Boss Day's strength increase by 200%, right? Ningrangrang asked incredulously with his mouth open in surprise. A 200% blessing effect. How powerful is that? Haha, that's right, that's the truth. Damu Bei raised his head, and raised his head, his eyes showed golden light, and he exuded a strong fighting intent. Ninth brother, shall we fight? Hu Jiu. Carrot Boss Day, let me tell you some good news. I have already decided that in the future, like Xiao, I will honestly be my food type soul master, and I don't have the kind of attack power. Therefore, don't fight such violent things in the future. Look for me. Hu Jiu waved his hand, showing no interest in Daemubei's challenge point. Although Daemubei was in the Soul King realm like him, Hu Jiu didn't take him seriously. It's only a 200% increase in strength, and his strength is at most similar to Liu Song, but he has long ignored the Soul Emperor. After all, in 2 days, he will break through level 60. After hunting for the 6th spirit ring, even Zhao Wuji dares to challenge him. A little guy who has just broken through level 50 can't even think of him interest. The corners of Daemubei's mouth stiffened as he stared at Hu Jiu in a stunned manner. This shameless guy. If he can't beat him, he can't beat him. It's boring to talk about food type soul masters. Besides, you Hu Jiu, ask yourself, are you a serious food type soul master? At this time, everyone didn't realize the seriousness of the problem, but Tang San raised his head thoughtfully. Zhao Jiu, what do you mean, you won't take any action in the future? Of course, I'm a food type soul master. We are a team. Don't forget to protect me in the future. Hu Jiu said as a matter of course. I'm a serious food type soul master. You soul masters of the attack and control systems, do you have the nerve to let me participate in the battle? Don't you feel ashamed, everyone? Tang San was expressionless. After talking so much, you're actually just trying to be lazy. Tang San's words made everyone come back to their senses at once, and suddenly realized in their hearts, yes, according to Jiu's usual style, this is really his style. It's good to know. I'm also doing it for your own good. With me here, all your light has been covered up. Speaking of which, you have to thank me, and thank me for giving you the opportunity to perform. Hu Jiu nodded as a matter of course. No, I'm sorry, thank you so much. Tang San felt his helplessness. Okay, Zhao Jiu, you can stay behind in the future. I will come to the fight. I will protect you. Zhao Wu patted her chest and said happily. Zhao Jiu doesn't like fighting, but she likes it. She likes it all the time. A meal of dog food was forced into it, and everyone ate it abruptly, so it didn't make sense. But it makes sense when you think about it. It will be the national elite tournament soon. We should hide our combat power in advance. From now on, Brother Ninth will be adding Hei Shensen so that we can exercise. Daemubei said suddenly, after pondering for a while. Hu Jiu clapped his palms and said in agreement, that's what I mean. With me behind you, you can let go of your hands and feet to fight. Only by fighting with all your strength can you stimulate your fighting talent. Otherwise, in the future, there will be only empty ranks, and there will be no weak people who match the strength. Okay, Brother Ninth will be our nanny in the future. Be sure to protect our safety. Wrong, it should be us protecting the 9th brother. From now on, he will be a food type soul master with no attack power like Oscar. Hey, my food type soul master provoked you to mess with you? Don't eat my sausage. If you have the ability, Shen, who cares? 9th brother Shen Guanghushan is much more powerful than your recovery sausage. The crowd burst into laughter. Okay, let's have lunch, and then I'll assign you a task. Hu Jiu clapped his palms to attract everyone's attention. To be honest, I'm very dissatisfied with your fighting ability through the battle of hunting down the demon-marked evil tiger just now. Hu Jiu, who became serious, glanced at everyone one by one, and even the most noisy Ning Rang Grang and Zhao Wu became quiet. Summarize today's battle for yourself. I won't name you, and reflect on your own. If you are fighting the evil demon tiger, can you solve it in half the time? You can start a reflection discussion meeting to understand your own shortcomings, so as to avoid making mistakes next time. I won't talk about big things. While we are in the Stardao Great Forest for the past few days, I will find soul beasts for you, so you can exercise team fighting ability. You must know that in the Continental Spirit Master Elite competition, team fighting is the most important part. Chapter 246 9 Lives Black Cat. After Hu Jiu's general remarks, the rest of Shrek's 8 monsters really began to sit down and sum up their shortcomings and reflect on them. Under the leadership of Tang San, a group of people expressed their opinions and discussed their own shortcomings, especially in terms of teamwork. They often go their separate ways and don't cooperate much with each other at all. For the next 2 days, Hu Jiu took them to find some 10,000-year soul beasts so that they could exercise their team fighting ability point for Hu Jiu. Finding a suitable soul beast is not a problem. The perception ability is distributed, and often just one soul beast is solved, and the next soul beast is a ranged point. In addition to this, Hu Jiu is also looking for a 6th spirit ring spirit beast that suits him, and the effect of the 6th spirit ring spirit ability point with the transforming soul skill in his body. And adding a clone ability, he could completely disguise himself and sneak into those big sects and forces, such as the royal family of the Heaven Dao Empire, and he really wanted to go point after all. There is still a sea god's heart there. With that thing, no matter whether you want to become a sea god or not, you can at least pass the sea god test to quickly improve your strength point. But the heart of the sea god is a bit tricky. It has always been ruled by contemporary emperors. In the original book, Tang San only obtained it after he became an imperial teacher for no reason. Hu Jiu couldn't get the sea god's heart, so he could only think of a trick point. What's more, if you sneak into the royal family, you can get in touch with Kyan Rinksu. By the way, it's a pity for such a beautiful girl to live outside point. Having said that, through the research of Tang San and Hu Jiu, the spirit ability that produces the clone ability is very rare. Especially Hu Jiu's requirements are so high. He wants the clone spirit ability to exist for a long time, and he has to think of each other senses with the clone. So high the requirements are completely low. Use 3 cleanups. Fortunately, the quality of Hu Jiu's spirit is not high. It was originally just an ordinary carrot. The spirit rings of most spirit beasts can be absorbed by time. Otherwise, Hu Jiu would not dare to be so picky. Point in the end, after picking and picking, a soul beast like the 9 lives black cat appeared in Hu Jiu's eyes. 9-lived cats are not uncommon, and they can be found with a little effort. This kind of soul beast is born with 9 lives and can be resurrected after dying once. The most talented one can be resurrected 9 times in a row, making it very difficult to hunt. Point and the 9-life black cat is indeed an outlier among the 9-life cats. After a certain stage of growth, the 9-life black cat can be separated into 1 clone, 1 cat and 2 lives. As long as one of the cats does not die, it can continue to clone, the highest possible with 9 clones. It can be said that, as long as the 9-life black cat grows up, no one can kill it. Point it was also Tang San who knew the legend of the 9 lives black cat, because of his extensive knowledge. Ordinary people didn't know the news of this spirit beast at all. Point with a target, it is not so easy to find. Even if Hu Jiu's perception ability is amazing, it is still quite difficult to find a soul beast in the huge Stardow forest. Point especially the mutant soul beast like the 9 lives black cat, which is very rare even among the 9 lives cats, and they don't know if there is such a soul beast in the entire Stardow Great Forest. Point time passed, and Hu Jiu's level had already exceeded the 60th level, but there was still no trace of the 9 life black cat. Point on the other hand, Tang San and the others had gained a lot. Under Hu Jiu's leadership, they spent every day soaking in the Stardow Great Forest to exercise their combat abilities. After a period of time, their respective strengths actually improved a lot. Jiu, I've never heard of the 9-life black cat you're talking about. Isn't there one in the Stardow Great Forest? Seeing that Hu Jiu hadn't found his target, even Xiao Wu became anxious for him. Don't worry, the Stardow forest is so large, it's normal to take some time to get a good soul skill. Hu Jiu said calmly, without a soul ring, it doesn't mean that soul power can't be improved. Although it was not as efficient as the cultivation, after obtaining the spirit ring, he was willing to wait for a good spirit ring. Point with his current cultivation speed, he has already surpassed the vast majority of people in the world. Maybe, apart from those soul Douluo and titled Douluo, he is probably the fastest at accumulating soul power. Yes, don't worry, even if there isn't one in the Stardow Great Forest, we can go to other great forests to find it, then we'll go with you. Tang San also comforted. Point he could already see that, as time passed, Hu Jiu was not in a hurry on the surface, but he was eager in his heart, as if he had to get this clone spirit ring. Point however, this kind of spirit ring effect has always been elusive, and if you want to find it, how can it be so easy? Another half month has passed. Point on this day, Hu Jiu was still looking for the trace of the 9 lives black cat. Point but unexpectedly, he really found some news. The news came from the mercenary team that hunted for spirit rings in the Stardow Great Forest. These people have long-term soul skills in the Stardow Great Forest. They are very well informed and knowledgeable. Point generally speaking, Hu Jiu would avoid this kind of person, and this time it was the same point, but his perception ability is amazing, and he has nothing to do, so he secretly paid attention. Point it turned out that he got some useful news. Zao. Ma, are you dazzled? This is in the depths of the Stardow Great Forest. It is the territory of the 10,000-year soul beast. How could there be a 10-year soul beast? A shaggy middle-aged mercenary looked at the opposite side with disdain. A slender young mercenary. I didn't, Uncle Leodeo. I saw it with my own eyes. It was a black kitten. Its soul power was not strong. It was a 10-year soul beast, and it was going to steal things. That's our target. Long-armed the monkey wine of the demon ape. The little mercenary explained anxiously. Good guy. There are really people who are not afraid of death. Even the gibbon would dare to provoke them. The mercenary known as Leodeo came to be interested. Then did it succeed? How is it possible? What we haven't got? How can the kitten get it all the time? The little mercenary sneered and made a slap gesture. With just one slap, a long-armed demon guarding monkey wine will be killed. The ape was shot to death. But one thing is very strange. After the black cat died, it didn't have a spirit ring on it. I suspect that it didn't have a 10-year cultivation base at all. Monkey wine, black cat. Hu Jiu was shocked and remembered the key information instantly. Point he knew about the group of gibbons. They were in the mountains not far from the mercenary group. As a species of apes, they naturally like to collect fruits and use them to make wine. This is their innate ability. Point looking at it now, the goal of this group of mercenaries is monkey wine. Point monkey wine is a good thing. The monkey wine brewed by gibbon demon ape is very beneficial to spirit masters. However, the gibbon demon ape is not so easy to mess with. It really deserves to be a mercenary. Point of course, these Hu Jiu didn't pay much attention to it. Monkey wine was a necessity for him. Don't forget, they have all taken immortal grass, and a lot of medicinal powers in their bodies have not yet been absorbed. Of course, if you have time, you can get some back. After all, monkey wine is still rare. It would be good to get some and give it to Zao Wauki. That guy is an alcoholic. Point but these are all for later. The key is the black cat they mentioned just now. Point Hu Jiu felt that the black cat was probably the 9-life black cat he was looking for. Chapter 247 Garbage Soul Ring Skill. After hearing the news of the black cat from the mercenary group, Hu Jiu immediately changed direction and started searching with the gibbon as the center. According to the little mercenary, the black cat's cultivation base is not high. If it is a 9-life black cat, then its body is definitely not far away. Point of course, these are just guesses, but anyway, there are no clues now, and it is not difficult to search. Point. After teleporting to the long-armed demon ape's territory, Hu Jiu began to search inch by inch. This time, he did not let go of the weak soul beasts, and he carefully sensed each one. Unction paid off, and half an hour later, Hu Jiu made a discovery. It was a black cat, hiding in a tree hole, with a very weak cultivation base, just 10 years old. It's you. Hu Jiu was overjoyed, and his body instantly appeared in front of the tree hole. After grabbing the struggling black cat, Hu Jiu observed it carefully. There was no variegation all over his body, and even his eyes were black. After being caught by him, there was still panic in his eyes. Is it a 9-life black cat? Hu Jiu was in a dilemma, because he couldn't tell whether it was an ordinary cat or a 9-life cat. Forget it, whether it is or not. Let's catch it first. Knocking the black cat unconscious, Hu Jiu returned to the place where Tang San and the others were training. How is it? There is something to gain. Seeing Hu Jiu appearing, the crowd gathered around at once. Tang San's sharp eyes instantly found the black cat he was holding in his hand. This is a 9-lives black cat? Tang San felt the black cat's cultivation and was instantly speechless. Hu Jiu spread his hands, indicating that he was also helpless. Little San, put this cat with you first and help me to see if he will be cloned, so that we can determine whether it is a 9-life cat. Tang San has a wishful 100 treasure bag, which can hold living things, just enough to use it. Okay, but have you figured it out? Even if it's a 9-life cat, its cultivation is too weak, and it won't do you any good. Tang San began to persuade again. 10-year soul beast, even if the spirit ring skill is very powerful, he does not approve of Hu Jiu absorbing it. Hu Jiu waved his hand and didn't care about it. The age doesn't matter as long as I have the spirit ring skills I want. As for the age, I have a way to improve it. With his 50-year spirit ring life, he can turn a 10-year spirit ring into 100 years in just 2 days. 20 days is a 1,000-year spirit ring. Even if it is 10,000 years, it is only 200 days. He can afford it. Okay, it's up to you. Tang San instantly thought of the 5 black spirit rings on Hu Jiu's body. Forget it. Don't persuade him. Until now, his first 2 spirit rings are still 100 years old. Tang San didn't take the black cat, but directly untied the wishful treasure bag and threw it to Hu Jiu. My mental power is not as strong as yours. You should keep this wishful treasure bag. Be careful when you use it. I put a lot of poison in it. Don't accidentally poison your cat to death. Hu Jiu was not polite, took the Ruai 100 treasure bag, and the tyrannical mental power flowed out. He instantly grasped the situation inside the Ruai 100 treasure bag. After putting the black cat inside, he was distracted to observe the Ruai 100 treasure bag. The situation, on the other side, returned to reality, taking Tang San and the others to continue the experience point in the wishful treasure bag. It didn't take long for the comatose black cat to wake up. He panicked about the unfamiliar environment for a while and found that there was no danger. Then he relaxed and started to play happily. Seeing that it didn't use the clone ability, Hu Jiu didn't give up and still kept observing. When he thinks about it, if it is a 9-life black cat, then one of its previous clones must have been killed. If you want to clone again, it will take some time to recover. Although the black cat he caught was most likely the 9-life black cat, Hu Jiu didn't give up and continued searching. The age of this black cat is too low. If it wasn't for the help, he wouldn't want this spirit ring of point. Halfway through, Hu Jiu took time to go to the gibbon demon ape's territory and took some monkey wine from the cave. As for the gibbon guarding monkey wine, how could he possibly find him? Changing soul skills is not a joke. Sun Monkey can turn into a mosquito to steal things, so can he? The mosquito was too small to change. So he grew bigger, turned into a pangolin, and burrowed in, and stole a lot of monkey wine. Before leaving, he also saw the little mercenary. He was lying in the grass, looking at the entrance of the cave from a distance. He was probably reconnaissance intelligence. It is said that the monkey wine is really good. Although it can't improve much soul power, it tastes very beautiful. The monkey wine has the delicious taste of fruit, and the alcohol is strong and intoxicating. Even people like Hu Jiu who don't drink much are also addicted. Feel it. Seems that teachers Ao Wuji and Dean Flender are going to have a good time. By the way, there is also Dean Liu Erlang. I remember that she made her angry when she left the academy. I don't know if she is relieved now. Forget it. Wait until I go back. Give her a pot of monkey bar too. That's an alcoholic too. Looking at Tang San and the others who were fighting hard, taking a sip of monkey wine, Hu Jiu thought about some messy things. Suddenly, Hu Jiu snorted, and he found that there was movement in the wishful treasure bag. After waiting for 2 days, I don't know when, one black cat turned into 2 in the wishful treasure bag. 2 identical black cats. 9 lives black cat. As it turns out, this is a 9 lives black cat. Without waiting, Hu Jiu immediately grabbed one and pinched it to death. It was only a 10-year soul beast, and there was no room to struggle in his hands. No spirit ring appeared, once again proving its identity. At the moment of killing a 9-life cat, the remaining one in the wishful treasure bag panicked instantly, and even the breath on his body was weakened a lot in an instant. Catch out the 9-life cat, kill it again, and a pale white spirit ring appears. Well, the age of this soul beast is indeed very low, so low that even the color is pale. Thinking about it, the age of the soul ring may not even be 50 years. Taking a big breath, like a whale swallowing it, he swallowed the spirit ring into his body, absorbed and refined it, and the whole process didn't even take a minute. At the moment of absorbing the 6th spirit ring, Hu Jiu felt that the restraint that prevented him from increasing his spirit power was instantly broken, and his spirit power also increased from level 60 to level 60. It's A pity. If it was a 10,000 year spirit ring, it would be at least 62 right now. Hu Jiu slapped his mouth a little bit regretfully. Carefully sense the effect of the spirit ability of this 9 life cat. Phantom clone. Create a phantom that is exactly the same as yourself, with no attack power and no entity. Hu Jiu gave it a try and made one with his appearance, but with a stiff expression. It could be shattered with a little force. Not to mention deceiving people. Maybe even a soul beast couldn't deceive it. Hey, Xiao Jiu, to you. How did you make it? Here, Shrek had already dealt with today's soul beast. Xiao Wu ran to Hu Jiu's side and curiously poked the phantom clone with her finger. Boom. The phantom clone turned into a spot of light and dissipated in front of everyone. Hu Jiu. Chapter 248 Return to Shrek. The soul skill effect of the phantom clone shocked everyone, and they looked at each other and didn't know how to speak. In the end, Mahanjan stepped forward and patted him on the shoulder. He smiled and said, "People make mistakes, horses make mistakes. Although the effect of spirit skills is a little worse, don't be disappointed. We will protect you from now on. Let it go." Hu Jiu cast an angry glance at Fatty. "What do you know? My spirit ability has great potential for development. Only a rubbish spirit master like you can't understand it." 9th. Brother. This map was fired, and even Ning Rangrang felt affected. Hey, it seems that I still overestimate you. Hu Jiu shook his head, sneered, and recruited a phantom clone again. But this time, he used distraction control. While summoning the phantom. Everyone only saw that the originally rigid phantom clone suddenly became flexible, waved to them, left her back, and walked towards the distance point. When it was about 100 meters away from the crowd, the figure stopped, bent over and lowered his head, as if there was something interesting on the ground, and squatted down to observe carefully for a while. "Do you understand?" Hu Jiu asked with a smile. "It's interesting. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have thought that the phantom was the 9th brother." Damu Bei said in surprise, then touched his chin. "This phantom can be used to confuse or lure the enemy. Ah. It's like Zhu King's ghost shadow clone. It's different." Zhu King shook his head lightly and explained, "My ghost shadow avatar can't be so vivid, and it doesn't exist for long. It will dissipate in more than 10 seconds at most. But Zhu King's ghost shadow avatar has the ability to attack. Brother 9, it will be broken with a single poke." Ning Rangrang said amusingly, "Heh, just wait and see. In 2 days, I want you people who mock me to open their eyes." Hu Jiu laughed complacently. At that time, I promise to let you experience the true power of the clone. Stun all your jaws. Xiao Jiu, since you also got the spirit ring, should we continue? Tang San asked. "No, it's been a long time since I came out this time. It's time to go back." As soon as Hu Jiu finished speaking, everyone cheered. For a whole month. This month, they have been fighting with spirit beasts. Even Xiao Wu, who is warlike, feels bored. Especially in the Great Stardao Forest. Life is also very inconvenient, and several girls have to complain for a while every day. Let's go. I'm going to the city to press my feet and find a beautiful girl to relax. Boss day, let's go together. Mahanjan said loudly. "What are you thinking about every day? You don't have any sentimentality at all." Damu Bei gave him a disdainful look. "Skilled people like us don't bother to be with you." Hey. Looking at the 3 men who were laughing, Tang San sighed and silently began to cultivate his soul power. During this period of actual combat, not only did everyone improve their skills greatly, but they also made breakthroughs in their spirit power levels. Hu Jiu, the 61 food system Soul Emperor. Xiao Wu, the 54th level agility attack type Soul King. Damu Bei, the 52 attack type Soul King. Tang San, a 47th level control system Soul Sect. Zhu Zhu King, a 45th level agility attack type Soul Sect. Mahanjan, a 44th level assault type battle spirit Sect. Oscar, a 44th level food type auxiliary Soul Sect. Ning Rangrang, a 44th level auxiliary Soul Sect. Meng. Yiren, a 44th level storm type battle spirit sect. Shrek 9 monsters. After a month, the strength of the general film has been improved by 1 level, and the harvest has been quite fruitful. The key is that after actual combat training, everyone's aura has become fierce. People like Damubei and Mahanjan, who have seen blood for a long time, have condensed a murderous aura, bursting out with all their strength, which can simply shock the mind. In addition to the Stardao Great Forest, when he returned to Soto City, Hu Jiu gave everyone a 3-day vacation, so that they could have fun for a few days, and practice should be a combination of work and rest. 2 days later, the 6th spirit ring was upgraded to 100 years by hanging up, and the effect of the spirit ability changed a bit. The upgraded clone is no longer a phantom, it can hold more soul power, and is more realistic. Standing in front of you, as long as you don't use mental power to sense, you can't tell the difference between the clone and the main body with a naked eye. It contains more soul power, and it will no longer be broken with a single poke. And it has a certain ability to withstand damage. In the next few days, everyone had a good time in Soto City for a few days, and a nervous mood of killing was relaxed. 3 days later, the 9 devils of Shrek set off for Heavendao City. On the way, Hu Jiu silently opened the on-hook panel to observe. The first is the change of spirit rings for more than 3 months. The 50-year lifespan of his spirit ring every day made his spirit ring last longer. First soul ring, 15,750. Second soul ring, 15,210. Third soul ring, 15,775. Fourth soul ring, 14,815. Fifth soul ring, 18,225. The sixth spirit ring, 210 years among the 6 spirit rings, except for the 6th spirit ring, which is a bit stretched. The first row is all 10,000 years old, especially the 5th ring, which is close to 20,000 years old. With the increase in the age of the 10,000 year spirit ring, there are also many changes in the effect of spirit skills. The first spirit ring has increased from 10 times the original cultivation effect to more than 15 times, and the cultivation effect is stronger. There is also a 5th spirit ring. All attributes have been increased by 54%. After the madness is activated, the strength is really violent. There is also the 2nd spirit ring change. The effect is strengthened between the bigger and the smaller. At the maximum, it can already be transformed into some large spirit beasts. Of course, if you want to become the size of Daming and Erming, it is still a little short. It can be as small as the size of a sparrow, and maybe if it continues, it can really become a mosquito. The 2 soul skills, teleportation and holy light recovery, were also strengthened. The former traveled farther, and the latter had a stronger recovery effect. In terms of soul skills, through conscious cultivation, the progress bar of the chaotic cloak hammer technique is almost full, and the next step is to advance. The 10th level of the random cloak hammer technique, the 9th level of the hidden weapon technique, the 9th level of the king's unbreakable body, the 9th level of the phantom dodge, the 7th level of distraction control, the 6th level of the ghost bell, the 6th level of the hand knife, the 3rd level of the white tiger sound killing roar, the shockwave 3. The other spirit abilities didn't change much, only Beihuai killing roar and shockwave were each upgraded by 1 level, and the effect was improved. 10 days later, the Shrek 9 monsters returned to Shrek Academy. Little Son, you go to Dean Flender's office to report the situation first, and I won't go in. Arriving at the door of Flender's office, Hu Jiu sensed it and found that Liu Erlang was also there, so he didn't dare to go in immediately. That annoying mother-in-law, it's better not to mess with it. Let's go together. Don't worry with me. Erlang's mother won't take care of you. Xiao Wu dragged Hu Jiu's arm funny and entered the office together. HMPH, you really have the guts to come in, boy, you're done. As soon as he stepped into the office, a gentle and charming voice came over. However, this voice was not so beautiful in Hu Jiu's ears. Chapter 249 Chaos Cloak Advancement. In the office, Hu Jiu shrank his neck and hid behind Tang San and the others, for fear of being caught by Liu Erlang. I can't afford it. I can't hide it. Flend looked at him with a funny look, then turned to Liu Erlang and said, Sister Erlang, don't scare the children. They are old enough to be angry with the children. Liu, Erlang frowned and turned his head suddenly. Boss Fu, who do you think is the boss? Do you think I'm old? With a snort, Flender felt that he was going to suffer and quickly showed a pleasing smile, saying, I'm wronged. My sister Erlang is so beautiful. What age is not old? This is called mature charm. I like it like this. What this is so boring and crooked that even the Shrek 9 monsters can't stand it anymore. What? What are you doing here? Nothing to do here. Hurry up. Seeing Liu Erlang blushing his face, friend was about to pursue the victory. Then I still thought about them and waved it impatiently. He waved his hand, disgusted. HMPH. It seems that the dean doesn't welcome us. I originally said that I got some monkey wine outside this time, and I want to honor the deans. Since people don't welcome us, then forget it. Let's go find it. Teacher Zhao, honor his old man. Hu Jiu turned around in disdain and walked out the door. Monkey wine. Liu. Erlang's eyes lit up and he involuntarily licked his seductive red lips. Zhao Jiu, don't rush to leave. You're all here. Wait a bit. Old ghost, he doesn't care about you. I don't care. I've missed you for a long time. Liu. Erlang stood up, enthusiastically pulled Hu Jiu to the side of the desk and gave him a chair to sit down. Monkey wine is a good thing. She hasn't drunk it a few times in her life, and the fierce and intoxicating taste still makes her nostalgic. When it comes to drinking, Liu Erlang is a woman who doesn't want to be a man. After waiting for the master for 20 years, she often uses alcohol to relieve her worries. That is to say, recently, Flender and others came, and she restrained her a little bit. Haha. The corner of Hu Jiu's mouth twitched. Teacher Erlang's service attitude was very good. Rare, but he also knew that he would leave it when he saw it. With a swipe of his wrist, 2 exquisitely packaged wine jugs appeared in his hand. This is for you and the dean, and I will give it to you together. Liu. Erlang's eyes were bright, and he couldn't wait to find the jug. He smiled and said, your dean is too old and can't stand such a strong wine, so I will accept it for him. Yes. Old man, I'm older. I'd better give it to Erlang's sister. Hearing this, Flender was not angry, but very happy. I wish she was in charge of everything. Haha, why are you so happy? At this moment, Zhao Wuji came over looking for the voice. He sniffed, and his eyes fell on the jug that Liu Erlang opened. It's so fragrant. Teacher Erlang, what kind of wine? Let Leo Zhao, and I tried too. Zhao. Walkie was also an old alcoholic, and his thirst for fine wine was no less than that of Liu Erlang. I'm going with your disciple. I'll just order this. It's not enough to drink. Liu Erlang took a sip, and instantly felt his chest open, and a mellow smell filled his forehead, making Liu Erlang's eyes squinted stand up. It turns out that this wine belongs to Zhao Jiu. After walking in, the aroma of the wine became stronger, and Zhao Walkie patted Hu Jiu on the shoulder. Zhao Jiu, there are good things, so you must respect the teacher first. I have a little more here. Let's go out and talk. Hu Jiu gave Zhao Wuji a look with a smile. How could he have forgotten his teacher? Okay, hurry up, go to my place. Zhao Walkie hugged Hu Jiu's shoulders, as if he was afraid of being robbed. He pulled him back and walked back. Hey. The appearance of the 2 masters and apprentices suddenly brought Liu Erlang back to his senses, but she was not in a hurry. She looked at Zhao Wu with a smile. Daughter, come and see. Let's talk privately. Zhao Walkie, who had already left, would never have imagined that Liu Erlang was still superior in skill. Through Zhao Wu, he finally got more wine than him. After returning to the academy, Hu Jiu and others' lives fell into peace for a period of time. Classes are on time every day, and when there is no class, they cultivate soul power, or play against each other to improve their actual combat ability. The days were leisurely and fulfilling. In a blink of an eye, 20 days passed, and Hu Jiu's 6th spirit ring was raised to 1,000 years. As the age increases, the effect of soul skills has also changed. The upgraded avatar is no longer a phantom, but an energy avatar composed of soul power, with half of the attack and defense of the main body. Hu Jiu tried it, and with just one clone, Tai Long was cleaned up. You must know that this kid Tai Long through his cultivation of Hushin, has reached the 39th level, and if he goes up one level, he is a soul sect, and he is still a pure power type soul master. And his strength is very strong point and he only relying on a soul power clone to solve him. This is still under the circumstance that the clone has not inherited his soul skills. Hu Jiu is more and more looking forward to the clone ability. 1000-year soul skills are so powerful when they are upgraded to 10,000 years or 100,000 years. Wouldn't they be even more powerful? For a while, Hu Jiu felt that he should really retire and leave the fights to Tang San and the others. If they still can't do it, he will send clones to the scene, and he will hide behind to eat melons and watch the show. Time passed by day, and the day of the Continental Spirit Master Elite competition was getting closer and closer. On this day, Hu Jiu came to a remote training ground alone with a serious look on his face. Through the on-hook panel, his random cloak hammer method is finally going to be promoted. The shattered cloak hammer is almost the first soul skill he learned, and the hang time is also the longest until now. It is finally time to advance through his deductions and the help of the on-hook panel. Every practice has a new understanding as he envisioned. After practicing the shackled hammer method to the highest 81 hammers, with his streamlining, at the beginning, 80 hammers. Completed the charging, 79 hammers, and 78 hammers. Such a reduction of the hammer. After such a long time, it has now reached a tight 18 hammer to complete the charging process. But the power has not changed at all. 18 hammers accumulate power, and when the last hammer hits, the power of one hammer is 10,000 Jin. But this has come to an end. After cultivating 18 hammers, no matter how he cultivates, he can no longer simplify it. However, from the on-hook panel, although the number of hammers has not decreased, the experience progress has not stopped. Every time he cultivates, the on-hook panel will give him feedback, and every few seconds, the on-hook panel will also transmit a sense of experience to him. In this way, they complemented each other, and he became more and more advanced in the cultivation realm of the chaos cloak hammering technique. But today, the progress bar of the chaotic cloak hammer technique has been full, and it is only the last sliver to advance. Standing in the training ground, Hu Jiu looked serious and held the meteor hammer high in his hand. Suddenly, he moved, and the meteor hammer in his hand drew a mysterious arc, as if hitting an invisible object. With the strength of his waist, the meteor hammer drew a half circle, bounced back high, and waited for the next hit. When it came out, the power became stronger and stronger until the 18th hammer. The meteor hammer has been fully charged, and its strength has reached its peak. Thank you book friends. 201803101148275542. Khan God, Zanson for the rewards. Thank you for your long-term support. Thank you. Chapter 250 Physical Limitations. Boom. The moment the meteor hammer fell, an invisible force rushed towards the face. The hammer head fell on the ground. The ground was instantly squeezed, and a pit with a diameter of more than 5 meters appeared in front of him. At the same time, a bright comprehension rose in Hu Jiu's mind, and countless profundities of hammering methods suddenly appeared, and were digested and absorbed by him. Chaos cloak hammering profound truth. It's done. He didn't need to look at the on-hook panel. He already knew that after the promotion of the shattered cloak hammer, it broke the limit, and did not need to accumulate power. Every hammer in the future would have 10,000 Jins of power. I'm afraid even Tang Heo couldn't do this. In addition to the random cloak hammer technique, there are 5 soul skills that can be promoted. After reaching the full level, the soul power meditation method was promoted to meditation. Soul power control is promoted to control. The 5 sense enhancement technique is promoted to perception. Helix pill was promoted to poison escape spiral pill. Chaos cloak hammering profound truth. The rest are not full. Hidden weapon technique is level 9. King Kong is not bad at level 9. Phantom dodging is level 9. Distraction control level is level 7. Nether soul requiring bell is level 6. Hand knife level is level 6. White tiger sound killing roar is level 4 and shockwave is level 3. Next, we have to find a soul skill to hang up. Hu Jiu pondered to himself while touching his chin. After the random cloak hammer method was promoted, another hang up position was vacated, but now there is no soul skill to hang up. which is very embarrassing. Originally, teachers Hu Jiu had quite a few soul skills, but they were of little use and were very tasteless. There was no need to waste precious hang-up slots. Remember that there seems to be a wrought iron hand in the house of that kid Taelong. Do you want to find a way to get that soul skill? With the improvement of his strength, his mental strength was strengthened, and Hu Jiu's memory became clearer, and he remembered many small details in the original work. The effect of this wrought iron hand was similar to that of Tang San's profound jade hand. After training, when forging with a heavy hammer, the palm would not be so easily worn away, and at the same time, it could prevent most toxins from attacking. It is an excellent auxiliary soul skill for the power family to strike iron point in this way. The forged iron hand is a soul skill that is trained outside. If you can't get Tang San's mysterious jade hand, it's not bad to get a similar wrought iron hand. Thinking of this, Hu Jiu put away the meteor hammer and decided to go to Taelong to explore the wind point. It just so happened that during this time, Taelong tasted the sweetness of cultivating ginseng and found a dormitory in the academy. He seldom went home, and he was afraid of delaying his cultivation point, and his grandfather gave him an order to protect Tang San point. As a result, he didn't want to go home even more. Talon, are you here? Hu Jiu knocked on the door of Taelong's dormitory. Ninth brother is here. Please come in. I'll pour you some tea. When he saw Hu Jiu, Taelong brought him in and tasted the sweetness of cultivating ginseng. For him, Hu Jiu was the uncle. No, I have something to do with you. Hu Jiu waved his hand, not polite. After finding a seat and sitting down, he entered the topic. What's the matter, brother Jiu? As long as I can do it, I will never refuse. Taelong patted his chest and assured their powerful family is still quite powerful in Shandao City. He is confident, as long as he doesn't provoke title Douluo, ordinary things don't matter to him at all. It's not a big deal. I just heard that it seems that your family has a wrought iron hand soul skill specially used for forging, right? Hu Jiu asked. The wrought iron hand? There is this one. Why, brother Ninth is interested in him. It is a soul skill that strikes iron, and it is not very useful. Speaking of the wrought iron hand at home, Taelong showed a look of disgust. If it wasn't for the old man who forced him to learn, he would have really looked down on it. He is an offbeat from the Power Clan. He is not interested in blacksmithing. He just wants to be a powerful soul master. I don't care about iron or not. I just want to know, can I learn this wrought iron hand? Hu Jiu waved his hand. People have a soul skill, and it is very precious. It's like a kid like Taelong, who still dislikes it. Taelong smiled and said hesitantly, Ninth brother, I can't be the master of this, or I'll go back and ask grandpa first, but I guess it's not difficult. After all, in our family iron hand is also a soul skill used to strike iron. It is not a secret thing. Okay, then you can go back and ask me. Don't worry, if this is done, the benefits will not be without you. Hu Jiu promised generously. Okay, brother Jiu, don't worry, I'll go back right now, and I'll get you a wrought iron hand tomorrow. Hearing the benefits promised by Hu Jiu, Taelong's eyes were the same, and he instantly became excited. He saw the progress of Tang San in the others' cultivation. Needless to say, it was definitely because of Hu Jiu that they were able to cultivate so fast. He also knew that Hu Jiu definitely had Hu Ginseng with better cultivation effect in his hands, but he just hadn't given it to him. And now, the opportunity is here. In fact, Taelong guessed right. The Hu Ginseng that Hu Jiu gave him has always doubled the effect of cultivation, while Tang San and the others have eaten 10 times the effect of cultivation. Originally, Hu Jiu's spirit ability could be increased by 15 times, but because of his physical fitness, Hu Jiu didn't use it for them. Because the effect of cultivating ginseng is too good, this creates a problem. Damu Bei and Tang San are better, their physical quality is stronger, but Ma Hangjin, Zhu Zuking, Ning Rangrong, Oscar and others are not good, because the speed of strength training is too fast, and the body can't bear it. Cultivation has always been a subtle process. If it is a step-by-step meditation, the soul power in the body will transform the soul master's body so that the body can adapt to more soul power. But because of Hu Jiu's spirit ability effect, Shrek and the others were accumulating spirit power too fast, but their physical fitness was not completed, which caused an embarrassment point. That is, Hu Jiu had enough ginseng to cultivate here, but they didn't dare to use it for cultivation, for fear that the soul power would increase too quickly, and they would injure themselves. The current situation was that Tang San, Damu Bei, and Xiao Wu could endure 4 ginseng cultivations a day point. Since both Mahanjan and Zhu Zuking were both beast martial spirits, their bodies were able to withstand 3 sticks a day point. The rest of Ning Rangrong, Oscar, and Mengstel were the worst, and could only take 2 a day point for this reason. During the time when they returned to the academy, Tang San and the others devoted most of their energy to exercising their bodies every day, wanting to increase their physical strength so as to increase their cultivation time point. On the other hand, Hu Jiu was not restricted by his body point. As a result, he has 5 10,000-year spirit rings, and through the blessing, his physical fitness is already very strong. Second, he has been trained in the eyes of Binghuo Liangai, and his physical quality, at least before level 70, will not be affected in the slightest point. In addition, King Kong is not broken, and through the on-hook panel, this soul skill makes his physical fitness constantly strengthened. And recently, Hu Jiu is also consciously cultivating the Vajra body, and taking it as the next promotion goal. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.